The birds are chirping, the sun is shining out here just outside of Sydney, New South Wales, a racetrack that has been lost to time but has been reserved by iRacing. That's right, folks. We are at the famous Oran Park Raceway out here today. Welcome back to Season 5 of the AMX Sim Racing World Championship. I am Kevin alongside with Amir today. Amir, this is one of the best tracks. We're back out here for another great AMX Zero race. We had our last AMX Zero race a couple of weeks ago, and for those folks that are just tuning in this season, would you mind giving just a quick recap based on last AMX Zero race, what they can expect today?
Well, what they can expect is pretty much more the same because these are like small cars on a small racetrack, and unfortunately, as you mentioned earlier, Oran Park no longer exists. But luckily, with the benefit of laser scan before the circuit was taken out, we get to preserve this for all time. And for AMX Zero, we can expect a bit more of a lax feel, don't you think? Because MX-5 you get a bit more serious, and of course 20 when you get the big boys. So I think this one might just be on a more the serious tone, but not too sweaty. So we're gonna at least have a more behaved race, I will hope.
Like you mentioned, so the stakes not quite as high for this race as what we have coming up later on today. Today, a full day out here in Australia, so make sure you guys stay tuned. Follow all of our social. You can see on the screen as well as head over to amxrace.com. You can see the full schedule of everything as well as some highlights, some replays, get all the info there. So before we hop into today's qualifying, like I said, we're out here in the MX-5 cars. It's a great car combination with this track. This is one of my favorite tracks. But once again, before we get into that, we have a few things to go over for this season. So starting now in Season 5, like I mentioned, we started back in May 25th, so a couple weeks ago, and we're going all the way through August 18th with a season prize pool of $15,000 and next level racing gear. The race format goes as following. We always started off with a little bit different for the AMX Zero. Usually it's a 20-minute qualifier. AMX Zero starting with a 15-minute qualifier, going into a top 15 reverse grid, followed by a 15-minute heat number 1, into another reverse grid, followed by that second heat of 15 minutes. So for all of our drivers out there, those of you on the track as well as at home that want to get in, driver cams are required this season. So you can join the link via our AMX Discord or going onto the website, amxrace.com. The payouts are done in balances over $100 paid out each month. Once you hit that $100 threshold, expect to see that money going towards your account. We're here every Saturday and Sunday this season. So if you got nothing going on the weekend, or if you have time to come out here, we love having you here. We love you. If you can drive, if you can watch, share it with the friends, with the family. All the support is great. Once again, get all that information over at amxrace.com. So like I said, every single weekend on Saturdays and Sundays, we start our first race of the day at 5:50 p.m., followed closely by a second race at 7:20 p.m. Every other week, we switch it up a bit. We have AMX Zero, like today, starting at 5:50 p.m., as well as AMX 20 following shortly after at 7 p.m. As well, on the off weekends, we also do have Assetto Corsa Competizione. So make sure to come out every other week. We check those out, have it a little bit different, but definitely every single weekend. Great racing, great times. So for our AMX Zero races out here, the prize pool is as follows. For first place, you're going to be getting $5, followed by second place getting $4. Third gets $3, and it goes all the way down into 15th place. So then we get into heat number 1, heat number 2. It's going to be the same payouts for those with the fastest lap, getting an extra $1 for a total prize pool of $73 per race. So once again, AMX Zero, it costs nothing to get in here. It's free, open to anyone. So if you want to get you some of this prize money, feel free to head over to the website and get yourself entered in. One thing that we do have still going on right now is our AMX season passes. So if you want to save 40% on your order, get those entry fees a little bit lower, we have an AMX-5 iRacing, AMX-5 Assetto Corsa Competizione, and of course, AMX-20 for season number 5. So, if you want to save a little money and get out on the track, head over there and get you a season pass today. So like we mentioned, we're out here at Oran Park Raceway with the beautiful, popular MX-5 Cup cars. So, Amir, this is a great car combination, as we mentioned earlier. Give these people a little bit more that may not know what is going on out here today.
Yep, certainly, Kevin. Thanks for the introduction there. And as per preface, this is Oran Park Raceway, located in New South Wales, or specifically the city of Narrabeen, Australia. Opened first in 1962, sadly closed in 2010, which was a real travesty because it's one of only few figure-of-8 circuits in the world at that point, other than Suzuka and Fiorano in Italy for the Ferrari test track. So really, this was a one-of-a-kind circuit, which unfortunately, as you said, has been lost to time, but at least we still get to race it in iRacing. 2.62 kilometers, certainly the drivers can really stretch their legs on that front straightaway, but the technical parts is definitely we're going to see a lot of action there. So, alongside where we're racing at, what we're racing with is the brand new iRacing Global MX-5 Mazda Cup car, which is a replacement to the legacy content that was first released in the base pack years ago, all the way in 2008. A little bit more horsepower than the original one, 155 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, and just under a ton. But look at that, sequential gearbox. So if any of those guys that want to use a sequential gear stick, that will be the best way to actually experience this car, because you can just pull through the gears and come through the corners really sweetly. So you just have to manage the throttle a bit more and then slide the car out there. So it's light, a small concise package, but really fun. A fun car all the way, and a real good track to race it on. So I can't wait to see how this will go in today's MX-0 race.
There we have it, folks. So we're about to get into qualifying here very shortly. And like you mentioned, the Oran Park Raceway. So a lot of people know this track for, of course, the V8 supercars out in Australia. This used to be one of the stops out in the V8 supercar series. So just like later on today, make sure you guys stay tuned, because we have another world famous track that was also part of the V8 supercars, and that of course is Bathurst. So the AMX-20 race and AMX-0 both out here in Australia all day long. But now we're getting into qualifying. Let's see where our drivers are. And just a reminder, this season we brought back drivers that wanted to participate in more than one race per day are absolutely allowed to. So last season it was changed up a bit, so we heard your feedback and a lot of these drivers are coming back. So you may see some familiar names that have been out here all weekend, out here in this first race of the day, that will possibly be with us for our AMX-20 race later on. So we'll just have to wait and see which of those drivers stick around.
Certainly. And for drivers that are somewhat new that we have not seen before, look at that name in third place. It's a familiar name for us in the ACC circles here, Simone Seminara. And yes, you can see his iRating is about 1.4k, but doesn't really matter. He does have the pace. He's matching Ralph Benitez and Jackson Resende in qualifying here, as Resende goes up to second place. Here he is, a regular face in the AMX circles, coming around through turn number 3 and coming up to the figure of 8 after this 4 and 5. There's the bridge. After this, there it is, crossing over. The circuit where he was just now is crossing below. So really, really fun circuit. It's just unfortunate that housing development came in the way to just close this off completely.
And look at the time and score I'm seeing right now, as we are about 2/3 of the way through our qualifying session. We still have a couple of drivers that we see pretty often out here that have yet to set a lap time. So we'll see if maybe they're just waiting for traffic to clear up a bit. That way they can get some clean air, get out there and set some good lap time. So we'll have to wait and see, as one of those drivers, Gael Valero, now coming across, not his best lap, but it's still a time on the board. So that'll put him up into 10th place currently, with Martin Chico still yet to set a lap time. But like you're saying, Amir, earlier on, Simone Seminara, so not really a popular name that we've seen here in the iRacing, but definitely has been making his mark in our ACC races so far. So for those that may not know Simone, last year in season 4, he was the championship runner-up, only missing out on the championship by just a few points. But so far in season 5, he has been showing amazing pace and has absolutely been crushing the competition out there for our ACC races. So if you want to see what this guy can do out there, we'll have to see today in iRacing, switching it up. But if you want to see him where it is his bread and butter, make sure that you stick around next weekend as well for our ACC races.
Yeah, certainly. And some of these guys are multi-platform drivers, so they can actually adapt well to a brand new one. For example, like Valero, we saw him in the ACC races. He really does have the pace on that one. It's just that the wind is still eluding him for now. And speaking of drivers that are brand new, this is another guy that we've not seen before, Austin Runkle. His iRating may be low, but at least he's giving it his all here. We can hope to see him perform well by the time the race comes around. And by the looks of it, I think he may be a pad player, because that is quite a subdued way of taking the corners, I would say.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Like I said, we always love seeing newcomers come out here, and let's shake up the grid a little bit. So currently, Austin Runkle now sitting in that 13th position, but once again, a reverse grid going into heat number 1. So although if you do not set the best qualifying lap times out here, you can still have a great chance at defending, being towards the front of the pack at the beginning of the race. So this is definitely one of those tracks that, you know, sometimes we say, hey, getting the pole position isn't everything, but it definitely helps. And this is one of those tracks that if you can be in the front of the pack early on, it makes it a lot easier to help defend out here.
Yeah, certainly. And for Runkle, who is completely a newcomer here, I would say, because it does look as though that he just got himself started out on the road side of things. His D license, you can see, is in orange, whereas other levels like in C, it's yellow, and a couple of B's in there as well in green. And of course, the reds are in blue, so that's the A license drivers, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, and C, A, B, C, and D throughout. Highest I-rated driver here, we're looking at him right now, is Gao Valero, with a close to 9,000 I-rate, in fact over 9,000, almost 10,000 I-rating. So really he knows a thing or two of how to drive in this game. Apart from that, lap times wise, it is pretty close from first all the way to 10th right now, 0.6 of a second from Valero to Kulhavi. So again, if anyone makes just a couple of tenths more, they could easily jump a few places here, Kevin.
And that too, just seen with the amount of drivers on the grid out here today for our AMX 0 race. So, like I said, those of you that are watching at home on the stream on YouTube or Twitch, if you want to get into some of these races as well, like we said, top 15 payouts go to those top 15. So, hey, even if you just show up and you participate, even if you don't run the best race, there is still a chance at winning some prize money. So, like we said, this is definitely going to make it interesting. So, out here being AMX 0, there is no minimum I rating to get in. It's open to everyone and anyone. So we're going to see a big difference that you may not normally see in some of these other races. When you have guys that are near 10K I rating, when you see guys that are down to 1,000, when you have everywhere in between, it's really going to have to be a lot more cautious with some of these drivers. Some guys may be a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, some of these guys been out here doing this for years. Some people fairly new to iRacing. So definitely makes for an interesting dynamic out here at the AMX 0 races.
Indeed, and in fact, almost like a flash, qualifying just finished. So let's see then how this looks. Is Valero, it's a real nice time there, about almost close to a 13, but 114 flat, a 10th in front of Ralph Benitez and Jackson Resende. Miranda 4th, and Seminara, not bad for his first time on iRacing here in P5, but competitive all around here. In fact, from first all the way to Thomas Larapide in P11, just under 10th. So close timings here. Small car on a short circuit. Definitely going to be one to watch here, Kevin. This combination will go.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Martin Chico, it looks like he was not able to set a lap time. So I'm not sure if he didn't make it out on track at all, or if he had a couple things. We'll have to wait and see if Martin Chico makes it out here to the grid. No, we had a similar thing going on yesterday. I believe it was Alberto Sanao that he was out there in qualifying, but unfortunately did not make it onto the grid for the race in time. So hopefully Martin Chico will be out here. We've seen him out this season so far as well. great driver. So right now that's going to be putting Austin Runkle right at the front of the pack, followed by David Pereira as well as Thomas Lardapide. So all the way towards the back of the pack, we'll have Gael Valero, Ralph Benitez, Jackson SNJ, and Victor Miranda. Some of the names you see a lot out here having to fight their way through the pack, but we've seen them do it time and time again. So no doubt that these guys are going to have some close racing out here today. It's going to be a good one.
Certainly, and you can see the grid is poised here to go around the figure of 8 circuit, one of very few in the world here. It takes a lot of difference in your driving to get around a circuit like this, so can't wait to see it go here, Kevin.
And we're getting ready to go green, so these drivers are going to get the best jump. It looks like a couple of drivers out there see some of the smoke. So you can see some of these drivers out here getting a little bit of a slower start than we may be used to, so, you know, compared to especially like the GT3 car or something like that. But as we go out here into turn number 1, this is definitely one of those turns that you have to be able to carry a lot of momentum. You cannot be afraid of carrying that speed. You just have to be a little bit cautious. As we see 2 wide going in side by side. So drivers already showing great car control. Made it through turn 1. That can be a little bit sketchy once you start picking up speed.
Yep, that little kink that comes into there, you cannot pick up the braking point because the cars can actually go a little bit loose by the time that you enter there. So for these cars, you have to be very firm, otherwise you will slip the rear up. But amazingly, everyone made it through despite a couple of offs into the gravel trap here, but there might be some trouble across the bridge with the circuit that we were on just now running underneath. It looks as though, amazingly, everyone has made it through safely here, Kevin.
Yeah, and right there you see going over the bridge. That is one of my favorite parts of the track. So pretty much any track that is a figure 8 like this, it looks great and is so much fun to race on. But especially in these cars going over the bridge there, it's nearly a flat out through that corner coming out of the bridge as well. So that's the great thing about some of these lower horsepower cars, is some of these tracks you're able to really just have the pedal to the metal and go full throttle through a lot of these places that you may not do it on a few different other vehicles.
Yeah, in fact, here side-by-side action is more than encouraged actually, because you do not want to let somebody get away that easily. But having said that, we can see, was that Kulhavi or was that Pereira going off onto the grass really close to going to the gravel trap there? Again, I was about to say side-by-side action going through there. You do not want to go through, especially through that kink that tightens up into a hairpin. But everywhere else though, look at that. They're all going at it. Nope, spoke too soon. It looks as though Zampolini's been taken off, and but it looks a bit Saminara too.
So right there, the first incident of the race, and we have a couple drivers getting into it, unfortunately putting them back down several places. So that gives room though. Martin Chico not setting a lap time in qualifying, but now taking advantage of it as he is still in first place from the start, followed by Reutemann and Kulavi. So we have the 3 Argentinians right now holding on to the 1, 2, 3. Let's see if they can hold on to this the entire race.
Yeah, I see if that can be the case, because Chico and Reutemann and Kulhavi, the Argentines leading the way here, might just help each other out. As someone's going on the pit exit, it looks as though it's Resende. So Resende had a very poor start to this race. He had to come to the pits, and he's now going to be lapped here, such as the short nature of this circuit, as Lara Pide didn't even make the grid here. He's already out of it from the word go. So Resende then just has to finish this race and probably not get lapped here for good measure to at least save some pride here.
And we see the Brazilians out in the middle of the pack right now. So one of those guys in particular, Victor Miranda, we'll see if he ends up on the podium. We've seen him out here yesterday. He was in the GR86 Cup cars as well as the GT4 cars. So one of the free cars in iRacing that anyone can race, the GR86 Cup cars, as well as these MX-5 Cup cars out here on track today, get a lot of use out there. So a lot of the series, this is where kind of everyone starts. So we're getting back to the roots of things in iRacing, as well as Oran Park being one of the free included. As we see right there, the Zamperlini incident looks like right there just getting cut over the front, and unfortunately see the number 327 of Zamperlini spinning out. So like we said, first incident of the race that could have collected a few more cars. So it's unfortunate that it collected the 2 guys that it did, but being as close as these vehicles are to each other, that could have ended up a lot worse.
Yeah, you're right there, especially given the fact that the close proximity, CQC, close quarters combat, that's quite common in these cars. It's amazing that we didn't have a big one after a couple of drivers going off there, but you know that something might happen along the way in between those periods of lull, so we do not want to jinx it right now. But for the time being, everyone's setting into a bit of a rhythm to just really find their feet in these cars and feel for it, how they're going to go around the track. Cool Harvey on board with right now, chasing after Miranda. He might be having those thoughts of getting by the Brazilian to get up into the podium here and probably retain that order of having the Argentines in first, second, and third.
So we have the leaders starting to pull away just a little bit. Martin Chico and Reutemann able to get about a 3-second gap between the battle going on behind them. So with Victor Miranda and Gaston Coulavi battling for that third place position right now, that's going to leave a little bit of room for Reutemann and Chico to start walking away. So right now we are lap number 5 of 12 here in this Heat 1 AMX-0 race number 15 today. So right here, that is the battle to see those Victor Miranda and Gaston Coulavi, two great drivers out here. So like we seen yesterday, when you put these guys that have a lot of experience, used to these high horsepower, high downforce vehicles, and you put them in something like a grassroots vehicle like the MX-5 Cup car, it really shows that they have to be able to extract everything out of this vehicle, and they are doing that out here on track today.
Indeed, and I'm not sure if that was Ayrton Reutemann that we saw just now in one of the inset, actually having the time to wipe off sweat off his face there. So you can see that the fast guys, they can afford to relax a bit despite driving in very bouncy, small and nimble cars. The cream rises to the crop, let's basically put it that way. The fast guys will know how to do it and will feel comfortable being on the edge despite being in close quarters combat. As meanwhile, Victor Miranda and Gaston Coulavi, their faces look a bit different. It looks quite tense, isn't it? I did say earlier that we're hoping to see a bit more of a lax race, but it looks as though everyone here is really going at it.
And we can see right there, we have Gael Valero battling it out with Evandro Dantas. So let's see right here as well as Simone Seminaro. So we got the three guys right there in the back of the pack, a little bit towards the middle, as Gael Valero making a great move, overtaking, going into turn number 1. So absolute textbook overtake right there. So that's the kind of turn 1 overtakes that we love to see out here. So sometimes, like we said, it can get a bit dicey, especially coming off that long straight into such a tight corner. It leaves no room for error. But Gael Valero, being the veteran that he is, able to do that with ease. So now that puts Dantas right behind him, as well as Simone Seminaro. So it's going to be Seminara and Dantas now the ones doing the battle in the middle of the pack.
Yep, as Valero is trying to make a beeline for it here. He's already stretched out to almost a second to the Brazilian behind him. Now that he's going to fall into the clutches of the Italian Seminara, who incidentally we saw just now when we were running through all the ratings. Forgot to mention that he is, among all the drivers, having the lowest license rating here of R, which literally means he's still in rookies, but he's managed to at least get up above the base 1.35k I rating. So he's done a few races, probably successful in them as well to actually increase rating. Probably using this as a barometer to just find out and gauge whether or not he can actually get his rating higher. So watch this space. We might see Seminara come through in future races.
And look at the timing right now. So it does look like we do have someone in pit lane right now. So that looks like it's going to be Austin Runkle. So having to pit, not too sure exactly what happened there, if he may have incurred some damage and is now getting it fixed in the pits. We'll have to wait and see. So that may be heat number 1 for Runkle. But right now, it's all about Victor Miranda and Gaston Coulavi. So Victor Miranda doing a great job battling it out with Gaston Coulavi, but also Lucas Werle is right behind them as well. So three-way battle for these guys trying to get onto the podium for that third place position.
Yep. Coulavi is the meat in that particular Brazilian sandwich here, with the Argentines just having to look front and back, as he really is stuck in the rock and hard place in terms of trying to get by. But pace-wise, they're all pretty much the same. Looking back at the times that crossed the line, 14.4, 0.4, and 0.3 for Verle. So Leandro Verle that time around now it's a 14.6, 14.8, and 14.6 for the both of them. Coulavi is still slowest among those three drivers, though he is not immovable object, shall we say. He can still at least make a move on here if he gets close enough to the back of Miranda.
And as we can see, some of those looking at Kulavi, so these guys are starting to slide out just a little bit more than they were. So like I said, pushing it absolutely to the edge. As we can see, an onboard cam as well right there. As we see a little bit of tire smoke, just as we're saying that, from Kulavi. So these guys, like we said, tire wear isn't too crazy in these cars right now, but once you start pushing it, that is the one thing. Once you start overheating the tires, that makes it a lot easier, especially on this track. That's where you can start losing time to some of your other drivers or start making some mistakes. So being out here, just trying to learn this track, you know, when I came onto iRacing brand new, this is one of the first tracks that I got to learn in this particular vehicle. And I'll just say that if you are pushing it too much to where you don't really have grip, that will cook your tires way faster than you'd like.
And of course, look at that final corner all the way to the start-finish straight. That's an example of what you were saying just now about not committing too much on those tires, because the moment you turn and you exceed the limit of adhesion and you keep on turning, you're going to run wide and whack the barriers at turn number 12. So it is ridiculously off camber, despite the width of it. It's enough to be a race ender there if you get it completely wrong. So a lot of these guys will put definitely that at the back of their minds, just trying not to overexert and really extract most of the car to get lap time.
And these vehicles not having any crazy downforce, so no crazy big wings on the back, no huge front splitters or canards. That really shows you have to use all of the mechanical grip that you can out here. So that really plays in, as we can see again. Kulavi, some of these other drivers out here now starting to just slide just a little bit more. So we'll see if Kulavi, with now that he's starting to slow down a little bit of a gap between him and Victor Miranda. So they were battling it out earlier, very close, but now your top three are slowly starting to lead away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, especially that this particular train led by Miranda and Kulavi are going to get even more company here. With those back markers, I think those are the back markers that are being caught right now. In fact, you can see Chico and Reutemann up in front, and a couple of other drivers being overtaken as well, including Jackson Resende. So no wonder there's another black car in between there. That's actually, is it Resende and the Tony Kanaan car being overtaken now by Chico, Reutemann and his teammate Miranda.
And that too, a little bit uncharacteristic. We're used to seeing Jackson towards the front of the pack in a lot of these races, but like we said, just it takes the smallest incidents, the smallest mistakes, and unfortunately you can end up in the back of the pack pretty easy. So he's going to look for heat number 2 to get that redemption and hopefully get a win out here, especially getting on the podium. So Jackson, no stranger to the podium, will be looking to get back, getting a little bit better grid placement in heat number 2 from not having the best heat number 1. But that is the way it goes out here with these reverse grids. So we love seeing these guys that, you know, just because they didn't have the best performance on one thing, you make one mistake, and instead of throwing your whole race day, you just say, you know what, I'm going to shake it off, I'm going to get back out there for heat number 2, and I'm going to put it to the limit.
Yep, and we'll probably see the best of Resende in that second heat, but right now, he is playing actually a bit of a rear gunner to Miranda, but he's already let Reutemann and Miranda by, so he's probably just going to be staying there to stave off any attacks that Kulavi and Verley might have in mind to get out to the back here. So Miranda now can at least console the fact that his teammate is right behind him. He can focus on trying to attack Reutemann.
So right now, once again, Martin Chico not setting a qualifying lap time and being at the very, very bottom, but getting thrown to the front of the grid and has held on to that first place position the entire time. So we'll see. Very interesting for heat number 2 if Martin Chico, how much he will be able to battle his way all the way through the pack. See if he can get another win. As we see someone spin out, that looked like that was Kulavi. So Kulavi finally, unfortunately, that looks like he was getting, we'll have to see a replay, see if he got tapped or if he just lost a grip going around that corner. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, it is between Reutemann and Victor Miranda. So like you mentioned, the teammates out here, the two Brazilians, Jackson SNJ, Victor Miranda, it is always helpful to have these guys. When you're out here with the teammate, especially these long straights, you can give a little bit of a bump draft to some of these players. So that too. If you want to work together, you absolutely can. If you want to, whoa, that was a great pass to the inside right there too. Victor Miranda just absolutely slingshotting to the inside.
Yeah, in fact, Reutemann just ran a bit wide there through turn number 1. That allowed Miranda through. And I thought for a second that Jackson Resende was actually thinking about overtaking him, but now Resende actually has backed it off completely. As we look at what happened to Kulhavi, oh, it's a simple driving error. He tapped the grass there, and a bit too much tire on the white line is enough to cause you to spin off there. Luckily, he avoided being tapped by anybody else.
That too, in these MX-5 Cup cars, there are a few places just like that, hey, you unsettle that suspension just a little bit and you are off into the grass. But not here. We see Martin Chico coming around the final turn, going into the home stretch, and he is going to walk away with this heat number 1 victory. So congratulations to Martin Chico on this heat number 1 victory, as well as Victor Miranda able to get up into second place, followed by third place of Reutemann. So great race so far. Great kickoff to our full day out here in Australia.
Yeah, back-to-back races in Australia. Of course, as you mentioned, Bathurst will be up next one, but Faith will just build up to that particular race after this. That will surely be a cracker. But this one is pretty much a great appetizer, isn't it, to how that race will go. We saw some really close action in between, but we didn't see much of the race winner in front because Chico just literally pulled away from Miranda and Reutemann, who were battling among themselves. They just lost sight of the Argentine, and he got an easy run here. So the second heat may not be the same so simple because he's going to start all the way at the back and will have to do some overtaking here. Zampolini comes across the line, and that is all 12 runners on the track finishing the race here today.
So like we said, once again, Martin Chico not setting a time during qualifying, but able to get to the pole position because of that reverse grid, and not giving anyone the chance to win it here in heat number 1. So Martin Chico sitting in that top spot, followed by Victor Miranda in second, Arjen Reutemann in third place, Leandro Verle fourth, Ralph Benitez in fifth, Gael Valero sixth place, Gaston Kulhavi in seventh, Evandro Dantes eighth, David Pereira in ninth, Simone Seminara 10th place, Jackson Senjay falling back into 11th, Fabio Zamperlini 12th, Austin Runkle in 13th, and Thomas Lardepide unfortunately did not make it to the grid. So some big thumbs up right there from Martin Chico, and we see fastest lap being set by Victor Miranda. So we've seen that a lot yesterday. I expect to keep seeing that a lot more too. So Victor Miranda, he is showing pace, but like we say, races are not won on pace alone. Anything can happen, and it does. So heat number 2, we are now gridding up, getting ready to go. We have a few drivers trying to make their way over. It's going to be a great heat number 2. So we're going off. It looks like we have someone still parked on the grid.
Yeah, it's Austin Runkle. So Runkle actually has not gotten off to the best of starts here. Maybe because he was trying to alt-tab his way back into the race, because he did actually leave a message in between the start of the race here and in the previous heat. He left a comment below. We'll read about that in a second. But right now, coming through turn number 1, a bit more argy-bargy compared to the first heat. But amazingly, apart from Runkle's bog start, everybody else has gone away safely.
Right there. So like I said, not the best of starts from Runkle, so we'll see if he can make up any of those positions. But right now we are door to door, side by side. Ooh, getting a little bit dicey right there. Victor Miranda spinning out Pereira. So those two drivers getting into it right there, and here we have our first incident of heat number 2.
Yeah, Benitez. That was Benitez actually ramming Pereira off almost unceremoniously. He just literally was ramming him non-stop. He could have actually stopped the car. Oh, that's Seminara. Seminara's actually gone up into the barriers.
So there we have these guys already pushing it a lot more into heat number 2. A couple incidents going on. So these guys, that's what happens when you are hungry for the win. You are going to lay it out all the time. And unfortunately, that line goes off into the grass, into the gravel trap. So right now, Zamperlini, Jackson Senjay battling it out. We see right now Senjay got to the inside line going into turn number 1. So we'll see if he can hold it off or if he's going to get the over-under from Zamperlini. So right here, great job side by side, keeping it nice, clean, not too much contact, nothing going on right there. And Jackson Senjay able to make that pass. But we'll see if they can set it up going into the next right-hander. Zamperlini may have the advantage right here. So again, this is the kind of racing that we love from these vehicles, especially at tracks like this. of getting a lot of back and forth. You guys are going to be door to door nearly the entire race.
Certainly, and we saw that example between Zampolini and Regende. They were still going it side by side. You can see a smile on both of their faces. They're really enjoying that one, and so are we in the country box, because again, these cars and this track are almost made for each other. They're almost intertwined in a way that you can just put a car in any part of the circuit and you can still have another car right beside you with no problems whatsoever. Great example right there. And the two Brazilians are now streaking away from Valero, who's managed to make his way up to third.
And so reading chat from earlier on to, well, before I get to that, so we can see that incident right there. Yep, just the unfortunate one of going in too hot and the person behind you having just a little bit more pace, not able to slow down in time, and unfortunately making contact that then gets the other driver spun out. So unfortunate incident right there. Heat number one, couple different incidences, but like I was saying earlier, we do have for the AMX-0 race, it is open to everyone. So I seen someone in chat earlier asking about that. Yes, head over to amxrace.com. We have all the information there. No entry fee for the AMX-0 race and open to everyone on iRacing. So it's a great opportunity to get out here and really try to put your skills against some of the best of the best. So especially we see out here a lot of guys out there for Austin Runkle. You know, I give him big kudos, huge props. I know how nervous it can be, especially from myself going into AMX Season 4 as a rookie. I still had my rookie license going into there, seeing some of these guys, like Facundo Rago, and we had a lot of Argentinian teams in the NASCAR races that I was trying out in, and even hopping into Cero Course Competición. So what I will say, my advice to all the people that want to get out there, and for the people that are already in there, don't give up, keep on trying, keep on doing it, and it definitely helps a lot to be able to battle it out with some of these guys that you may not normally battle it out with in iRacing. So great experience all around, and we hope that you guys keep coming back for more.
Certainly, and we hope that this is not a deterrent for Runkle to continue on driving here. He's doing at least a decent job for himself in keeping up with the guy in front of him, in this case it's Seminara, so at least two peas in the pot in that regard, as we're looking at Dantas and Reutemann really going after it through here. So that comment really put me off for a second. Zampolini and Resende having a twin. I'm not sure if that was for Dantas or Reutemann, but whatever it is, it's close between this battle pack, and behind them is Miranda and Verle as well.
So as per usual, we have the great fight going on right in the middle of the pack for that P4 position. Reutemann, Dantas, Verle, Miranda. We'll have to see, as right here towards the back, Verle and Victor Miranda. We'll see if these guys start getting scuffled a little bit too. So we've seen earlier a couple unfortunate guys going off. So it looks like we do have a couple people that may be just out of the race already. So that'd be from Kulavi and Lardapide. So they were here earlier, but looking like they have since retired from the race. But nonetheless, we're still out here. Lucas Werle doing a great job going on the inside right now, able to overtake Dantas. So walking away, Dantas going just a little bit wide. And oh no, contact right there. So that looks like that may be Reutemann going down a few places. Victor Miranda able to capitalize on that. Dantas, Werle. So grid position switching up these guys door to door. A little bit more contact right there.
Yep, and that's the sort of contact we could expect to happen. In fact, there's more contact here. Dantas hits Verle and spins both of them around. Chico is the big beneficiary. He gets two positions, and Reutemann manages to pick up the positions after that, being spun around in the first turn too. So it really is all kicking off here, as we can see on the top right hand corner. That's actually comments on the Twitch channel, so you can actually comment on there as well. Andres Harmony, he's just saying that the Brazil flag is flying. Yep, 1-2 right now with Resende and Zampolini, as well as our own AMX Global Twitch. They're saying that the battle was spicy. It was until it went a bit cold.
So just like that, the battle was heating up towards the middle of the pack, and these guys just getting a bit aggressive with each other and ending up off the track. But right now, still, the battle persists. We have another person going off track. That looks like Dantas once again now getting spun. I'm not sure if there was any contact on that, or if he just did not have the grip in those rear tires and ended up oversteering out of it. So we'll have to get a replay of some of these. Okay, so it looks like there was no contact on that one. So, like we said, but some of these other incidences earlier on too, or even just like we mentioned, we seen it last heat with Kulavi as well. Once you start pushing it and you start burning up these tires, things like that can very easily happen. So, right now it's leaving the battle up to Lucas Werle and Ralph Benitez for that 7th place.
Yep, as well, you see a few more replays of that incident between Dantas and Verle, and in fact, Dantas actually got a bit of helping from Chico there for a second as well. So Chico actually, I thought, got out through that unscathed, but it looks as though because the car was spinning in front of him, he had nowhere to go. He had to just hope and pray that the tap wasn't too hot. And unfortunately for Dantas, he was sent even further backwards there because he was facing the opposite direction. But luckily, apart from that, some battle scars on these cars, the rest of the field is still going by here.
Yeah, so that looked like Dantas, really nothing that he could do, kind of sandwiched between two drivers, a little bit of contact in the front, and then getting rear-ended. So, unfortunate for him, but he is back in it, still trying to keep up pace with these other guys. But now, the battle towards the front of the pack once again, we have Fabio Zamperlini and Gael Valero. Gael Valero in 3rd place, looking to improve. You know he wants that win out here, but Jackson Asenje is going to let these two guys battle it out behind him and try to walk away. So we've seen that time and time again, especially from last season, as Gael Valero making the inside move over the bridge, able to overtake. Beautiful pass right there, able to get P number 2. So back to Jackson Asenje. We've seen from previous seasons as well as this season, once he's able to get into 1st place and get comfortable, it's nearly almost always going to be a walkaway win for him. So we'll see if Gael Valero, now that he has a little bit of breathing room, not fighting it out with Zamperlini quite as much as he just was. Let's see if Gael Valero will be able to catch up and battle for P1. Yep,
that was quite an easy passage for him to get out to P2, but he'll have to consider this. Zamperlini is not a man to easily give up a fight. He is only about 0.2 of a second behind the Frenchman here, coming out to turn number 1. Is he going to try to attack here to get back to a Brazilian 1-2? Nope, not just yet, but you can tell this is going to be a fight that's still going to go all the way to the end.
So right now, this just goes to show both of these AMX veterans out here, they've been with us for a long time, showing why they are some of the best in the game. Just absolutely great racing. When we have these guys, you know, we've seen them out here other races. So seeing now two of Fabio and Gael are the OG. They are as OG as it comes. I couldn't agree more. So as well as, you know, like we said, Jackson Senjay, Victor Miranda, quite a few people out here that make it out every single race. So especially now this season that we brought back these drivers being able to race more than once in a day, that definitely has shaken things out a bit up here. So some of these guys would have been probably focusing, as we see right there, looks like Runkle pulling off to the side a little bit, letting traffic go by. So I'm surprised. We'll see how many of these drivers that, you know, didn't want to participate for today that are focusing on the AMX 20. We got word there may be a couple red line guys out there as well preparing for that AMX 20 race. The previous one, we were out at the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, and there was some chaos. There was some great racing. Chris Lolum is the winner from the last AMX 20. So we'll see what happens out here today. But like I said, that is coming up later on. So make sure to stick around after this race. But for right now, we are in lap number 9 of 12 out here in this heat number 2.
Yep. Oh, time really flies, doesn't it? Because the short circuit with these kind of small cars, despite a huge number of laps, it goes by very quickly. 1 minute 14's run here, of course, the average lap time. That's the reason why it goes by so quickly. But anyway, Saminara now looks as though his camera is not available here, fighting with Ralph Benitez, who looks a bit like Tyler 1, not gonna lie, but he's definitely not gonna be smashing his keyboard or whatever. He is gripping that wheel very hard right now to fend off the Italian behind him. As you can see, Runkle now becomes a bit of a mobile chicane. Luckily, he plays it smart, stays out of the way, and not cause any histrionics.
So looking out here too, yeah, talking about OG drivers, we have a few OG fans out there too. We see you guys out here every single week with these drivers, checking it out. So out here, Twitch and YouTube, we love you guys and we are thankful. We wouldn't be out here doing it without you guys as well as these drivers. So big shout out to all the chat. And now we're going, so we only have a couple laps left out here. Heat number 2, Jackson Senjay not having the best race in the first heat, but now doing it as we see Seminara right here, getting the inside over Ralph Benitez. So Seminara having a little bit of an incident himself earlier on, going off track, but is now slowly making up pace. So we'll have to see. Like we said, Seminara is a veteran in Assetto Corsa Competizione, now coming over to the iRacing side of things. So we'll see. So far, showing pretty good pace, but like we said, if you're used to one sim or the other, sometimes you still got to get a little bit used to it. As you can see on there as well, Simone Seminaro still in that rookie license. So no doubt, though, that if we see him by the end of the season, that he will be out here still showing off the best of the best. So we'll see how he does throughout the rest of the season, as well as him currently your championship leader for Assetto Corsa Competizione.
Yep, he is one of the favorites in that one, and looking forward to see him out next time by with more ACC races. For the time being, though, he is on his way to another top 10 finish here in front of Ralph Benitez. He's about 2.6 seconds behind Lucas Verde, so this is really... Oh, no! In fact, he's going to lose more time now because he just whacked the barriers there, Kevin.
Right there, too. That barrier coming out of that final turn, that can get tricky, especially this late into the race. In these cars, you know, we can hardly see he already has that front bumper removed. So right there, Benitez, no front bumper. It doesn't affect, like we said, the aero too much in these cars. They rely a lot more on that mechanical grip, but it definitely does not help. So we can see right now, Reutemann trying to battle off Lucas Werle. So we have the classic Argentina versus Brazil going on right here for that 6th place position. Lucas Werle doing a great job. So a lot of this too, like we said, is not just who can be the fastest guy out here, but once you try putting that pressure, we've seen time and time again, getting that little peek around, making sure that that driver knows you are there in their rear view mirror is just enough sometimes to make the littlest of mistakes.
Yep, it's all about that psychological game, isn't it? You're the guy behind chasing. It's much harder to be the one in front if you're the type that looks behind often. But conversely, you can also be pressured being the one chasing, because you never know, if there's a slight mistake trying to overtake that guy in front, you will actually start overstepping the mark a bit, whack the barriers, or lose it under your own accord and end the battle there and then. As you can see, Vela is shaking his head. I think he's a bit frustrated that there's not enough top speed on his end, not because of the setup, but the car, maybe the exit wasn't as good as he liked it. It's not been able to get by Reutemann.
So I've seen some people out there in chat as well asking, am I from USA? Yes, I am. I love it out here too. We need more USA drivers out here. So one person that I was actually surprised to not see out here on the grid, he did not make it out here, is Tim State. So Tim State, another one of these guys that a lot of people know out here on the grid. So usually makes it a lot of ones. So Tim, if you're out there watching, we hope you're doing well, and we hope to see you out here on the racetrack very, very soon. But yeah, that too, being the USA, I felt very, very proud to show my true flag of the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes, as Jackson Asensio comes across the line. Gael Valero, Fabio Zamperlini. So, sorry, I was about to go into a recap of some of the stuff last season, but enough of that. Jackson Asensio walks off with this with ease once he is able to get. So like we said, he gets in first place. He's able to walk it off, and he does come away with that victory. Valero unable to catch it back up, but still walking away in P number 2, and Fabio Zamperlini holding on to that 3rd place position. As we see, last few drivers still making their way across the finish line. So, like I was saying, if you guys want to go back to last season's AMX races, especially the NASCAR, you can definitely see I was out there in the red, white, and blue, showing on a show, being one of the few Americans out here in AMX. So I always love seeing it. Glad to see Runkle out here today. So although it may not have had the best race, but we still love to see all these guys. So biggest thing I say for Runkle, if you're out there watching, is definitely we want to see you come back. We want to see you put on more of a show. So Runkle coming into 11th now, across the finish line. I love that livery, man. I love a lot of these guys have the crazy bright colors, looking like a Miami Vice vehicle out there. So that is your heat number 2 of the first race of the day.
Yep, and it was frenetic, but overall it really delivered on why these cars are so good for grassroots racing and in iRacing when you really start out in the rookies races. So yeah, some of those guys who have been there, done that, are still willing to come out and play in AMX Zero and show where we're at.
Like I said, right there, your BenQ session winner, Jackson Senjay, and once again, Victor Miranda setting the fastest lap. So unfortunately, there's a few incidences that did not let Victor Miranda get up as far as he wanted, but still did a great job nonetheless. Guy Valero second, Fabio Zamperlini third, Victor Miranda followed by, and then Martin Chico, who we've seen win heat number 1, is now sitting in 5th place for heat number 2. Ayrton Royman 6th, Leandro Werley 7th, Simone Seminara 8th, Ralph Benitez 9th, 10th, Evandro Dantas, Austin Runkel coming in 11th over David Pereira in 12th place, and unfortunately Thomas Lardepide and Gaston Kulavi have retired from this race. So there you go, folks, your AMX Zero race of the weekend. It is going to be some more great racing. Make sure that you stick around. We will be heading up for AMX 20 very, very soon. But like I say a lot, Amir, what was your highlight of this AMX Zero race?
Ooh, tough one to pick actually, because we had quite a few thrills and spills here and there. But I think you have to go to the likes of Jackson Resende and his recovery from that tough first race. He literally put to the sword everyone else in that second one, because once he got into the front, he never looked back and he just really was on it. And shout out as well to Martin Chico, same thing. The guys behind battled, but once he hit the front, he just kept it metronomic and got a well-deserved heat win as well. So really, those are the two highlights. The guys who had differing fates in qualifying or in the first heat, but they made up for it in the races itself to just show that they do have what it takes to be up in front.
So I definitely say that. So it was a great race, great MX Zero race. So like I said, a lot of people they've come here for AMX 20, but the AMX Zero races are putting on a show just as much. So don't go anywhere. Stick around, as we will have here in a few minutes. Make sure we are streaming live on Twitch and YouTube. So all the folks, we have our socials on the screen right now. Make sure to head over there. You can follow up with us on everything racing AMX, as well as some of the highlights, some of the replays from this season as well as previous seasons going on there, different things, events. But like we said, guys, don't go anywhere. AMX 20, we are heading down to Mount Panorama in Bathurst. So just down the road from where we are, we will see you all very, very soon.
Marcel immediately he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone up, he's been tapped, and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin! Oh,
and
no!
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lawler does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they come into the right hand, and this is it. Chris Lawler seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lawler takes it.
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lawler does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they're coming to the right hand. And this is it. Chris Lawler seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lawler takes it.
It's a doubleheader out here on Australia today as we're heading up the road from where we were earlier up to the world famous Mount Panorama. That's right, folks. We are out at Bathurst for today's AMX 20 race in the Porsche Cup cars. So it's going to be a great time out here. I just know it. The mountain, the infamous mountain, hopefully does not eat up too many drivers today, as it can be absolutely brutal. But we have a lot of guys out here for these AMX 20 races that are no stranger to danger. I'm Kevin alongside with Amir, and welcome back to AMX Season 5 Sim Racing World Championship, where, like I said, today at the great Mount Panorama. Amir, this mountain has chewed up and spit out plenty of drivers in its time. What do you think we can expect for today?
Well, I can tell you one thing, Kevin. Even if you're the best driver in the world, it can still literally bite you hard right in the rear end. So we've seen multiple time champions in V8 supercars come a cropper here. We've seen literal newcomers come here and just whack the walls immediately on the way out. So literally, I cannot think of a tougher circuit than Mount Panorama, and in tougher cars in the Porsche 992 Cup cars. So really, it is a combination that really does put to the fore who can actually master these two elements together and come out on top.
Absolutely. So, home of the Bathurst 1000 and also the Bathurst 12-hour races. This track's only open a few times a year, but luckily out here in iRacing, it's open to us every day. So, right now, folks, like you said, if you want to follow along with us, follow this journey as well as the rest of the race schedule, make sure to check our socials that are on the screen right now, as well as head over to amxrace.com, get all the details there. But before we get into today's qualifying session, we have a few things to go over, especially AMX 20 being a new category this season. So AMX 20, a little bit different prize pool, a little bit different rules, as well as a little bit different entry.
Yep, indeed. And the fact that with AMX 20
on the screen now, we have a beautiful overview of the track. AMX 20. So this season, again, season 5, we started it back in May 25th, and we're going all the way through August 18th with a season prize pool of $15,000 plus next level racing gear. All of the races right here, especially. So AMX 20, this is where it differs just a little bit. We still have a 20-minute qualifier followed by a top 15 reverse grid, but now we're going into a 30-minute heat number 1, then followed by another reverse grid for heat number 2 of 30 minutes. So a little bit longer races than our AMX-5 races. So these drivers have to put in a little bit different strategy. Tire wear, fuel savings, things of that sort will play in just a bit more than it normally would. So everyone out here too that is on track, driver cams are required. So join the link via our AMX Discord or get over to the website, amxrace.com. Payouts are done in balances over $100 paid out each month. So once you hit $100 of winnings, expect to see that money headed your way. Race days are every Saturday and Sunday. So we're out here every single weekend this season. Make sure to get the full schedule over at amxrace.com, as well as if you would like to sign up. So like I said, we are out here every Saturday and Sunday starting at 5:50 p.m., followed by a second race right after 7:20 p.m. And also every other week, we have our AMX 0 starting at 5:50, followed by AMX 20 at 7 p.m. So if you're looking for that AMX 20, going to be a little bit earlier than some of the other AMX-5 races, as well as on the opposite weekends. We do have a Assetto Corsa Competiciones. So like I said, make sure to come hang out on Twitch and YouTube or get yourself entered in on the race. We'd love to see you out there. Right here for our AMX 20 races. So a little bit higher stakes means a little bit higher payouts as well. For getting first place, you get $60, followed by $40 for second, $36 for third, going all the way down into 15th place, with the fastest lap getting an extra $8, with a total prize pool per race of $1,000, with a minimum road I rating of 4,000. So a little bit higher, a little bit more money out here, but still great racing. So, like we said, out here too with all of our races this season, we currently have a promotion going on. If you want to save yourself some money on your entry fees getting out here to go racing, we do have AMX season passes right now. So we have one AMX-5 iRacing, AMX-5 ACC, as well as this race right now, AMX-20. So head on over there, get your season pass, and we will see you out on the grid. So like we mentioned, we're out here at the world famous Mount Panorama, but Amir, more specifically, what is our car combination going on today?
Yeah, I'm certainly Kevin, all rubbing our hands in glee for this one because we really can't wait to go for here. As you can see in the background, it's Mount Panorama circuit that was first opened in 1938. Originally as a street circuit, it still is to a certain extent. It has a permanent pit facility here, but most of the other time, as you can see up on the dotted on the lines of the hill there, are actually houses that actual normal people live their daily lives here when the circuit is not in use. But it is the only way to access to the houses is from the circuit itself. Opened in first 1938, 6.2 kilometers, so there's no other layout about it. We are using the full circuit that is seen in the Bathurst 12 hours and the Bathurst 1000 kilometers, so can't wait to see how the drivers will shake their way through up the mountain and through some of the most iconic corners in motorsport. So that will be where we're racing at, and what we're racing with will be, well, a really tricky car. No EBS, no traction control. It is the brand new, for last couple of years, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, also known as the Porsche 992, 510 horsepower, just slightly more than the GT3 model. Rear wheel drive, 1.26 tons, and for those who just love to have their cars fast, sequential gearboxes, so flappy pedals on the steering wheel. You don't have to worry about taking it off and having to clutch it in a H pattern. These cars are the epitome of modern day racing. It really does help ergonomics for the drivers, whether you're pro or in the when you're starting out. But car and track combination checked, and some of the drivers are really ready to go. I can't wait to go here now, Kevin.
Like we said, so it's a double feature all day out here in New South Wales, Australia. First Oran Park Raceway and now Mount Panorama. So this car track combination is definitely going to make it very difficult for a lot of these drivers. But speaking of the drivers, let's check in on them in the qualifying. Let's see how they are doing. Previously, last time we were out at the Nordschleife with Chris Lollam taking home the overall victory, as well as Matthew Victorino in second and David Toth in third place. So those are your leaders right now. Chris Lollam is your overall AMX 20 leader. So we have a few red line drivers in here as well today that we can see. As well as right now, we have one driver who looks like is setting the fastest lap time so far, Sean Campbell. So my fellow countryman from the USA, Sean Campbell, showing what he can do out there at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, but if you scan that little QR code on the right hand side of the screen to find the live timing, behind him, by not by much, 0.2 of a second, is a name in iRacing circles that is pretty much the most well-known driver here, Diogo Pinto from Team Redline, a World Championship rated driver, and in his day job, a Porsche Super Cup champion, the Porsche Esports Super Cup on iRacing. That is considered one of the toughest sim racing leagues in the world, which Pinto won in 2022. Really love to have him here. He's one of the top talents in iRacing. Can't wait to see how this goes. And as well as Sean Campbell, he's no slouch either. Look at that, 206.1. Bested Pinto after first set of runs here by 0.2 of a second. And look at it, who's in P3 behind Pinto, Gustavo Ariel, also another driver who has been here often in AMX. Oh boy, that is really a tough field at the front. Can't wait to see once the race comes up here. Right now, we are watching Pinto, as we mentioned before, a real star driver in iRacing here, Kevin.
Yeah, like he's mentioned, also going up on the grid. So in that third place position as well, we do have Gustavo Ariel, who started off, he was racing out here a couple seasons ago on AMX and also got picked up by Team Redline around the same time. So a lot of you guys out here that want to get in on some of the races, hey, you never know who's watching, you never know who you're competing against. You might just be racing against them and then sooner or later racing with them on their team. So a lot of these guys doing great out here. So like I said, Sean Campbell still sitting in the top spot, but Diogo Pinto coming across the line. Will he be able to improve his lap time? It looks like right now he's still sitting in that second place position. So we're about halfway through this qualifying session of 20 minutes. Sean Campbell, Diogo Pinto, and Gustavo Ariel, another one of these guys. So this weekend, like you said, speaking of winners, we did have a special event going on for iRacing. More specifically, we had the 6 hours at Watkins Glen. So 6 hours of the Glen out there going. We did have a few winners in here today. Team Redline being one of those, specifically Diogo Pinto out here. So the teammates, we'll see, like we said, a couple long straight, especially once you get out onto Conrad Straight. That is definitely one of those places. Crazy amounts of draft going on. So we'll see a lot of overtakes going there. Let's see if these teammates out here will be able to have an advantage to try and block some of the other drivers or try to work together just to maybe get a little bump draft going on, move their way towards the front of the pack. But right now we're back on board with David Toth. So one of the Drago Racing drivers, David Toth, so far sitting about in a little bit more than in the middle of the pack in that 6th place position. So a lot of these drivers still setting down amazing lap time so far.
Oh, certainly, and I think I can see that in the comment section, a lot of fans are anticipating a real good one here, or some of them also expecting a very wild one. Can't wait to see how that goes. As we're on board Tough Night right now, look at how close it is from first all the way to 11. Simon De Mori in 11 there, 0.8 of a second, and on a circuit this long, it is not possible to still be that close, you know. So really, this is like the best of the best coming to the fore here, and for the likes of Pinto and Ariel with 11,000 high rating, that is some serious amount of grinding they've done over years, and really running out of superlatives to describe how that will go. And Tough, just now we were seeing how he's warming up. 9.2 KR rating, no slouch either. Plenty of these drivers know how to get around the track in iRacing.
And here's another driver to look out for as well. We have Marcos Saavedra, who last week came in 4th overall for AMX 20. So definitely this guy, we know he has pace. We know that he is one of the best. So that is the great thing. Like we said, AMX 20 out here bringing in a host of the top talent from around the world, from all of these drivers. We got Apex Racing, we got Team Redline, we have Team Drago. So Tony Kanaan Esports, so many world-class top sim racing drivers all coming together for one place. So this is one of the very few places that you can come probably on any given weekend outside of the iRacing special events or outside of some of these other yearly events that have been going on for a long time. AMX Season 5, AMX 20 races may just be the cream of the crop.
Certainly. And a few drivers as well who were coming through that cream of the crop. As you can see, Tamas Simon, the Hungarian, with VR goggles on his face. Just now we saw Peter Zuba actually in the comment section saying good evening to us. So good evening to you as well, Peter. Hopefully you will be able to have a good run here in AMX 20, and it's certainly going to be a tough one, isn't it? Tall order for those guys, especially who are trying to find a bit of time against some of the best drivers in the service here. At this point in time, still a 206.1 set by Campbell early on is the time to beat. Whereas conversely, someone who has not set the time yet is Yashar Nui, another American in fact. So we got Americans at the front and at the back tailing it right now, but I don't think he'll be staying there for long, because if he gets the time in, he might just be able to start where in P15 will be on pole position.
So right here too, so like we said, one name that we don't see quite as often in here, Sean Campbell, as well as now Yashar Nui. So a few of these drivers though, like we said, just because they are a little bit newer to AMX or we may not see them that often, I'm going to say don't count anyone out. It isn't over till it's over. We haven't even begun yet. So we'll see right now Yashar Nui as he is down onto the Conrad Straight. You can see these vehicles maybe topping out here, getting really close to their maximum top speed of these Porsche Cup cars as he's coming around. So let's see, as we're just a couple turns away, Yashar Nui looks like he is the only driver right now to not set an official lap time just yet, but that is about to change. So as we see him come down around into Murray's Corner out onto the main straight, what will be his first lap time in here with 5 minutes left? We'll just have to wait and see. So
207.5.
He bumps up, gets into 15th place right now with a 207.538. So, like I said, a lot of these drivers going in here, 206, 207, that is just a ridiculously fast lap time. So, If you guys don't know an exact idea around here, I highly recommend going checking out some of the Bathurst for the actual real life lap times, as well as seeing some of just the top iRacing lap times. So these guys are absolutely blazing out here.
Indeed. Most of the field close to about 0.8 of a second. Again, from Campbell all the way to Mori, it's about 0.8 of a second here with Peter Zuba now with a rather interesting camera angle, because I think he might have dropped his phone there trying to give us his webcam view. Luckily, we can still see that he is the one doing the driving right now, coming across out of Hell Corner. About 1.2 seconds behind Campbell's time at the moment, but at least he has a few more runs here left to go to actually improve on that, as does Simon De Mori right now. Within that 206 bracket, still only able to set a P13 time right now, but I think he is pretty much on a good one here right now. He's got a couple of improvements in the first couple of sectors.
Right here, yes, Simon De Mori. We've seen him a lot last season. Hasn't been quite as active yet this season, but nonetheless, he is an amazing driver. So one of the few drivers that we've seen last season, I'd say probably one of the biggest improvements, seeing him going from the beginning of the season towards the end onto the very, very last race that we had last season. Just an absolute heartbreaking. He was in the lead all the way till the final lap, only to have his iRacing get disconnected from the server. So hopefully Simon De Mori, we're going to see a great performance out of him today. But now back with Saavedra. So still currently sitting in that 7th place position. Saavedra now coming back down into the Murray's corner. We'll see if he has anything going on to be able to improve on that lap time as he comes across the start finish line. And it looks like, yes, that puts it up to 2nd place. So now Saavedra showing that he is no slouch out here today. He is finally getting his groove and now putting him into that 2nd, besting Diogo Pinto.
Yep, and now we're viewing Gustavo Ariel, because I was about to point out whether or not he could actually set a faster time, because he had a 3rd sector there, purple, as, oh, he is actually forced off. I think that looks like Campbell. Campbell's actually gone off there, or one of the drivers with the BenQ colors. It is, in fact, no, it's number 18. That's a different driver looking at right now. But that was very close then from Mori. In fact, it was Peter Zuba, so Zuba went off there big time. As they come across the line now, Gustavo Ariel is going to wind it up for one last run here.
So that's the thing right there. Once you come out of the Conrad Straight carrying all that speed, it is very, very easy place to go off track. So historically, for those of you that may not know, there was not that kink in the Conrad Straight right there towards the end of it. So back in the day out here at Mount Panorama, it was a straight shot all the way once you got out of Forest Salvo, straight shot all the way down into a left 90-degree turn that is known as Murray's Corner. So a lot of accidents happened back in the day, and racing officials seen that as not being the most safe. So they added that little bit of a kink in there known as the chase. So right there, slowing it down just a little bit, but nonetheless still a very, very dangerous place. There's some great videos too that you guys have seen, I'm sure, of that, where it's just a bit of a meme that these guys kind of ramping over it, going straight off, continuing, say, I don't need a turn, you know what, I'm going to just completely go straight through the track. But not out here today with these guys. These guys are some of the best of the best. We back on Diogo Pinto. So Diogo Pinto was sitting in that 2nd spot, now being knocked down into 3rd place by Saavedra. So we'll see right now as he comes into Murray Corner, the final turn. Will he be able to best that or even get the top spot as he comes across the start-finish line, gets back into that 2nd place position? So a back and forth right here in qualifying between Diogo Pinto and Marcos Saavedra.
But look at Campbell, look at that time. The only driver to be in the 205s. What an amazing run. We didn't really get to see the end of that Sean Campbell's lap, but he literally wiped the entire field with that one. An amazing lap time. The only driver in the 205s, 205.9. Looks like he is going to be one of the very hot favorites coming to the races here, Kevin.
And just like that, qualifying is coming to an end. So Sean Campbell putting down a ridiculous 205, getting into the 205s, absolutely crazy in these cars out here. So like we said, that's going to set the precedent for what is coming up in today's race. Your Ben Q session winner, all smiles right there, knowing he is the fastest one out here at this track. Sean Campbell, first place with a crazy 2:05, followed by second, Diogo Pinto. In third place, Marco Saavedra. Fourth place, we got Juan Blaina. In fifth, Gustavo Ariel. Sixth place, Pedro Dean. Seventh, Tobias Soriano. Eighth place, David Toth. Ninth, Thomas Simon. 10th, Gael Valero. 11th, Victor Miranda. Jackson Sanjay following in 12th. Simone Demori, 13th. Pedro Zuba, 14th. Yashar Nui in 15th. Gaston Kulavi, who we've seen last race as well, in 16th place, followed by Arjun Ruitman in 17th. So crazy grid out here today, especially look at that top 10, Amir. That is just going to be an absolute, you know, the battles are going to be legendary today.
Absolutely, Kevin. And look at that, even all the way to P12, Resende, still under a second. That, it just tells you the quality of this field is quite high. I'm not sure how we can calculate the SOF arithmetically in this regard, but I think because of the high ratings some of you guys have, the SOF is very high.
And just looking at that too, like you said, you know, we have a couple of the Team Redline drivers out here as well. A couple guys over 10,000 iRating, a lot of guys in the 9,000. So yeah, I'd expect, you know, just roughly estimating, you know, probably strength of field is somewhere in the 7,000 to 8,000s today.
Indeed, we can count the averages on that regard, but yes, 2 World Championship rated drivers, the rest of the field being A's, only a couple of B's, but again, that really shows you why this league and these guys mean business.
So we have chat in there now too, cheering on Team USA. So we can see right now, will Sean Campbell be able to hold on to it? Let's see as we are off. So a full grid out here as a couple people going. We see Gael Valero right there getting a great move on the outside too, as well as Pedro Zuba being able to hold it off at the front. Oh no, we have someone going off. I'm not sure who that was exactly.
Pedro
it
Dean.
Looks like that is Pedro Dean. So unfortunately, Pedro Dean off into turn number 1 as we start heading up the mountain slowly. So right now, going up the mountain straight. Great opportunity, a little bit dangerous to pass up here. So we'll see if anyone gets gutsy and tries to make move.
But crucially though, someone actually crawled a bit at the start there, and it was Simon Demori. Demori's now actually gone off here at Griffin's Bends, because I did see him creep a bit, and you might just see that guy come into the pits after this for his drive-through. No doubt, it was such a promising area for him to start, but he has fluffed his lines completely, and even worse for him, he's crashed it off. Now he's going to get swallowed by the rest of the field. But meanwhile, up in front, Zuba is pulling away here by about a second in front of Resende and Miranda. That's the sort of start he really wanted.
Out here with this tough category of drivers, all these professionals out here, it's very easy to either get caught up by another driver or get caught up by the mountain itself. As now we reach Skyline and we're going down into one of the most tricky parts of the race course. Now going down the mountain, this is where we see a lot of drivers. You start picking up speed, but it's very easy to barely touch that wall. So you want to get as close as you can to the walls. Like we said, just one touch and that may very well be your race. So look at that camera angle right there, seeing how close those drivers are getting into the wall as they come out of the forest corner or forest elbow down into the Conrad straight. So right here, great overtaking opportunity, tons of draft. We'll see who shakes up the grid, but right now we've got a pretty decent train going on. I don't expect that to last very long.
Oh, some of the beauty shots that we have there from the production team behind the scenes, it was really awesome, isn't it? It feels like you're watching an actual race there, the way that the cars come by on Conrad Straight and into the chase. A chicane that was only opened in 1987 because of the serious accidents that were involved in the Bathurst 1000 the year before that. As now, remember this, mandatory pit stops are actually included here, so that's why we're seeing some of these guys get rid of that mandatory pit stop first and then head out afterwards. So they cannot drive through it. They have to actually stop in the box properly. As a couple of, all of them, most of them actually coming in for proper pit stops. I would think Simon Demori was doing that just so he could get rid of his dump truck.
Yeah, so a couple of drivers, like you said, Simone Demori may have gotten just a little bit of damage on the last lap, so he may be in the pits a little bit longer. So we'll see now, though, as Pedro Zuba still in first place, followed by Victor Miranda in second and Gael Valero in third. So a lot of these really quick guys, too, now you can see probably didn't want to have to deal with the traffic and battle their way back through the grid. So they're going to get their pit stop done and taken care of and get, hopefully, some fresh air to be able to wait for these guys past them once they have to pit. So we'll have to see. Right now, Peter Zuba, Victor Miranda, the ones to be looking out for until everyone gets out of their pit stop. So you can also see on the timing screen right there on the bottom right, the drivers that have no pit stops or one pit stop. So we can see exactly who has played by the rules. Oh no, right there, Vic Miranda, Peter Zuba into the wall, spinning out, and now taking out another person right there. It looks like that was Simone. So unfortunately, collecting a few cars right there. The Mountain has taken its first driver of the day.
Oh, that was a pure mistake there from Zuba. He tried to actually get on the throttle early, but slid it facing into Miranda. And miraculously, somehow, Miranda actually got away with that one. But he's got Valero now immediate company because he stalled the momentum a bit. That was a real lucky moment for those guys up in front. But spare your thought for Peter Zuba. He thought he could get away with that one, but unfortunately, he was clattered by Thomas Simon.
Like I was saying earlier right there, the most dangerous part of the Mountain claimed its first driver. So we'll have to see if he goes into the pits now to get some damage repair. We'll have to see how that plays out for the rest of his heat number one, as we have Victor Miranda, Gael Valero, and Toth right now coming around. So those are your top three podium contenders. We'll have to see, as a lot of guys that did make the mandatory pit stops will be looking to climb back. So we see right here Gustavo Ariel currently in fourth place, but I don't expect him to stay there for very long. Like we said, a lot of these guys out here, no strangers to the Porsche Cup cars. Gustavo Ariel being one of those with the pro license, as well as Diego Pinto out here. So you get the pro license, that just means you are out here for a lot of these official iRacing Pro Series. So these two drivers, no stranger to these vehicles.
Indeed, and guys like Ariel and Pinto, those guys are World Championship rated drivers. You know what they mean to business here in these cars, especially Pinto being a former reigning champion of the PESC, the Porsche Esports Cup, as I said before, the toughest sim racing championship in the world. To get through that and be rising to the cream of the crop, you know this guy knows a thing or two about driving around the circuit. We're going to him now. Start behind Simon de Mori. So Simon has not made his pit stop, as we said before. He only went through the pit lane to get rid of his penalty, a drive-through, because he just crept it on the start, and it was enough to be detected to just go through. As we look at the inset, what happened between Zuba and Miranda, add Thomas Simon to that one, because Simon was the innocent bystander in that one to really try to avoid the incident, but Zuba is just happened to be in the middle of the way. Anyhow, back to the racing action in real life. This is Valero looking behind to David Toth. Play the Jaws music, because this is going to be really quite dangerous.
So right there, David Toth making an absolutely great pass around the outside. So trying to hold it off, putting Gael Valero back down to third place. So right now, David Toth showing that he is out here. He's looking for that win today. But like we said, keep in mind, there is a mandatory pit stop out here. So definitely that will play into this grid out here, going about halfway through the race. So right now we are into lap number 4 of 14 of our second AMX 20 race of the season. And right now it's looking like a lot of these guys, it's going to be probably, we'll have to see again coming into this, the different team battles going on, what these guys are strategizing. But right now, Victor Miranda still holding on to the lead. But like we said, our fastest driver of qualifying, Sean Campbell, currently sitting in 5th place. So we know he has the pace to catch up and get onto the podium and possibly get a win out here in heat number 1.
Yep, Ariel, and oh, what happened there? But it's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone off into the barriers coming up to the cutting.
And just like that, you can see from even the most veteran drivers just how grueling this mountain can be. Like we said, guys, these are pro sim racing drivers. These guys are some of the best of the best. So this shows this car combination with this track, just how difficult it is to be taking out some of the best drivers in the world.
Yeah, I think there was a slight mistake there, because I think Valero tried to run it a bit wide to trail brake. He probably tapped the wall on the way in and collided the wall on the outside, so really unlucky there from the Frenchman. But mercifully though, the damage may just be a little bit superficial compared to what happened with Peter Zuba. He can still carry on with that, but the car is just slightly compromised.
So right now, as we are back onto the Conrad straight, Victor Miranda still holding off David Toth. But right here, we see last lap, Toth able to make a move over Gustavo Ariel last time. So we'll see, he's looking to do it again. David Toth, the Drago Racing driver, right on the rear bumper of Victor Miranda. So Victor Miranda doing a good job of holding him off so far. So this is definitely going to be one of those skills of showing Victor Miranda how well can he defend as well as not make any mistakes. As we can see so far with a couple drivers, all it takes is the smallest mistake for you to end up into the wall and start losing pace.
Indeed, and as we saw just now with Valero, even the slightest of touches can actually snowball into something big. As we can see, our camera director really shows how it's like to see when you zoom in. Zooming out, you don't really see much, the cars don't shake, but when you look at it closer, it feels like real life, doesn't it? You can see how much intensity it is involved when the cars are traveling through the bumps here. Remember, laser scan circuits on iRacing, every single small bump, you can feel it right up to about 10 millimeters. That's how accurate a lot of the circuits are in iRacing. And for Miranda, he might not be minding that too much. He's looking behind here to Toth, Ariel, and Campbell. Tough crowd, let's be honest. That is a real tough crowd to keep behind.
So not even halfway through, and I'm looking at the time score. It looks like we do have one driver that has since retired. That would be Yashar Nuhi. So unfortunately for him, he has retired from heat number 1. So we'll see if he makes it back in time for heat number 2. He is sitting just outside the top 15, so unfortunately he would still be sitting in that last position going into heat number 2. But right now, it is all about these guys right here. Sean Campbell setting the fastest time in qualifying, getting into the 205s very easily. Now look at the timing screen. Looks like Diogo Pinto is also finally broken into the 205s. Diogo Pinto holding the current fastest lap time of heat number 1. So Diogo Pinto, Sean Campbell, Gustavo Ariel, all these guys, crazy pace going out here as Sean Campbell looking to come out into AMX 20, looking to be a winner, knocking off some of these red line drivers. So as well as Victor Miranda looking to get that win for Tony Kanaan Esports and Drago Racing out here in the mix of it as well. So that too, when you see a lot of the iRacing official events, you will see a lot of these drivers battling it out as well. So AMX 20, great place for battles. As we see right there, someone going into the pit lane right now. So that is Gustavo Ariel taking his pit stop.
And he's pulling trick widely. We'll keep an eye out whether or not his pace post pit stop will be up to scratch, because right now he is doing what we call the undercut. He is pitting while behind other drivers who are in front of him in traffic, so he gets clear air once he exits the stop, and then he can proceed to attack those other guys through time and delta afterwards. So it'll be interesting to see what Ariel does while Miranda, Toth, and Campbell are fighting. This will actually be hurting them in the long run.
So looking at that too, last time we mentioned Chris Lullum was your winner at the Nürburgring, but his teammate now, Diogo Pinto, looking to see if his strategy is going to work out so he can get another win for Team Red Line. But like we said, that is definitely going to probably be where the race may very well be won or lost, is with these pit strategies. So a lot of these drivers not really needing to change tires, not really having to add fuel. You know, it's not too long of a race for these specific cars on this track that they can get through the entire heat without having to do that. So it's more of just a strategy thing of when can I do it, where will I free up in traffic, do I want to be battling with these guys, and when do I want to battle with them. So we can see right there in the bottom right hand corner too of the awesome blimp cam getting an overhead of these drivers as we come out of the Forest Elbow. Now back onto the Conrad straight. So some of these drivers right now, like Victor Miranda, David Toth. So Toth right now in the toe of Miranda will definitely have enough to be able to get around him. So right now, David Toth making his way back up, has already climbed 7 positions since the beginning of this race, now into P1.
That was a lovely maneuver, typical one on the Conrad straight. But the thing is, the amount of battling that he did with Miranda up to the point when Ariel made his pit stop might be detrimental to him. He's gonna have to make hay when the sun shines here while he is in front to actually claw back the disadvantage that he had accrued from being stuck behind the Brazilian.
Right here looking at it as well. So David Toth, the Drago Racing driver, one Drago Racing driver that we haven't seen on here. I'm a little bit surprised that he isn't joining us today. And of course, that would be one of his last season's champions, Aaron Vasquez. So Aaron Vasquez, he's been busy with a lot of other sim racing things for Team Drago as well, but it is always great to see all of the representation from all of the teams out here. That's how you know when you have the best teams in all of sim racing out here, we are going to get the best races. And so far, I can say that has been very, very true.
Indeed, but look at this top three though. They've still been inseparable. Yes, we saw Toph making the move just now on Miranda, but the thing is, Miranda's not actually being lost here to Toph. He's still hanging on to it, though only just right in front of Campbell. So Campbell then, let's see what he can do coming up to the descent from the mountains up through the S's up to then descent to Forest Elbow. He may not be able to overtake there, but he can pressure Miranda into a mistake.
Right now you can see I have the different sectors down on the bottom. So Toth going a little bit slower through the sectors 1 and 3, 4. So there's a few different ones of these guys just showing which parts of the track they are most comfortable with and which parts that, you know, maybe they're taking it a little bit easy, don't want to end up crashing out this early. And looking at the timing screen, we seen earlier Gustavo Ariel taking his pitted lap, but right now he is the furthest up in the lead. He is currently in 7th position, so that's furthest up on the leaderboard right now for all of the drivers who have already taken that mandatory pit stop. So Gustavo Ariel will have to see within the next few laps what these drivers that are in the lead, when will they take their pit stop? Will it be until the last possible lap? We'll just have to wait and see what that strategy is and how it plays out. But seeing right now, Vic Miranda staying very, very close to Toth. So Vic Miranda looking to get his spot back. He was in the lead early on in this race and has since been overtaken, but still in a podium position and still in competition for that win for heat number 1.
Certainly, and well, someone's saying that Miranda looks really calm under pressure, but I think based on the body language, he is a bit pensive right now. He really is driving the out of his skin to just keep that car going the right direction, because again, these Porsche 992 Cup cars are really quite difficult to get a handle of, and so stiff are these things. Hitting the curb or a bump the wrong way will be enough to send you spinning backwards. So again, there's a fine line that you can actually just keep these cars going, and for Miranda, he's doing an amazing job right now in not only keeping up with Tough, but keeping Campbell behind. So the Hungarian, the Brazilian, and the American in one shot here are still in this very fast train in the top 3.
So as you can see right now, Victor Miranda being sandwiched between 2 other absolutely crazy fast drivers. So now he's definitely starting to feel a little bit more pressure than he was earlier on in the race. So like we've seen Sean Campbell, like you said earlier, cue the Jaws music, because Sean Campbell has already made his way past 12 other drivers. So he got sent all the way back to 15th position because of that reverse grid, but now is showing just why he was the fastest in qualifying, and not only the fastest in qualifying, but also showing immense racecraft out here as he is slowly clawing onto the back of Victor Miranda. Right here, we'll see he'll have an opportunity to make a pass as we go onto Conrad Straight. You see a lot of passes right here. So he has the draft looking to the inside, making that overtake right there, and there we go. Sean Campbell up 13 positions into 2nd place. Now he's looking for David Toth to get that top spot for heat number 1.
Oh, look at that. Sean is happy with that one. He's smiling there. You can feel that the car was right on the limit of speed. He was just in the draft, then pulling out of there to get around the outside into Conrad Straight, which became the inside on that first kink. Makes it through. Now he sets his sights on David Toth. But the more that these 3 are fighting, the more it gives a chance for Gustavo Ariel, who was in 4th place at the time of the pit stop when he made his first stop, a probable net race lead, because he's had so much clean air right in front. These 3 battling will be helping his cause big time.
And like you mentioned too, so we have Gustavo Ariel 5th place. I'm looking at the middle of the pack too. Diogo Pinto in 6th. Kobe Soriano 7th. So we still have a lot of great drivers now in the middle of the pack, as we can see there in the bottom right. Lavi making his pit stop. So a lot more of these drivers now, as we're already over halfway through the race. A lot of the drivers are finally starting to find where they can get their pit stop and get it in right now. So Jackson Asenje right now being in 4th place, looking to get onto the podium as well, but he still has a bit of work if he wants to catch back up to the leaders of Victor Miranda, Sean Campbell, and David Toth.
Yeah, looking at the two cams right now, that's Campbell and Sean on the left, and beside him is Toth. And when someone said just now that Miranda was coolness personified, well, here are two guys that barely have emotions and flinching right now while on the edge, because they really are trying to keep it as metronomic as possible to take victory here. And crucially though, right in front of each other here, they're fighting for the first two positions, but they have to worry further behind that guys like Ariel and Pinto are pretty much in clear air, working together as a team in Team Redline to just stand a chance of overhauling them once these guys make their pit stops.
And now showing just how crucial that draft is on the Conrad Straight. That really shows that coming out of Forest Alba, you have to have the absolutely perfect exit out of there. So a lot of drivers, you have to really get close to that wall, and that's an easy place that even if you just slightly scrape the wall, that can hurt your exit going out onto Conrad Straight. And we can see here Sean Campbell looking like a little bit David Toth feeling the pressure, saying, you know what, I'm going to get out of here real quick. I am going to get my pit stop done, and I will fight once I get back out. So currently that puts Sean Campbell right now into that P1, so we'll have to see how long is it going to take for him to get that pit stop in. Will he wait until the last moment? We will just have to wait and see, as Victor Miranda about half a second behind Sean Campbell as well. See there on screen, David Toth getting his stop and go, now coming back out onto the pits. So David Toth might have a little bit of traffic to deal with now that he gets back out from the pits, as that leaves Jackson Asenje currently in that 3rd place position. So David Toth will have to either battle Jackson Asenje or work with him to get back to the lead.
But look at this, the battle between Resende and Toth. It's about under a second here, coming up to Griffin's Bend. No way through just yet, and he manages to actually gap himself to Ariel and Pinto. So despite fighting up in front, he manages to stay in front of the two red line guys. But the immediate trouble right now is he's been blocked by Jackson Resende. This is exactly what he didn't want, because he had such clear road when he came to pit lane. Now he's having to fight his way through here.
Right there too, we see David Toth was keeping up amazing pace, so did his mandatory pit stop, but now trying to get past Jackson Asenje. So that is one thing though, we all have seen Jackson Asenje. He's a very aggressive driver and very, very defensive driver. So David Toth definitely has his work cut out here to try to get past him. So as long as these guys are going to have to keep it absolutely perfectly clean, and now that they're coming down the mountain to be able to get out of there, as we see now in the bottom right hand corner, incident between Simon Demori and Saavedra. So looks like Simon Demori may have just gotten in that. Not sure if that was a bit of a netcode issue or if he was just getting a little bit too close, but nonetheless, that looks like Saavedra unfortunately getting spun out there, cooking those tires, all of the tire smoke, and we see slowly putting him back down right now into P15. But back to the battle going on right now. David Toth, Jackson Asenje, right there on Conrad Straight. You know Toth has been getting a lot of passes there, looking to do the same over Jackson, but unfortunately, Jackson just being an amazing defender.
And again, this is exactly what he did not want, because his main two rivals prior to the stop, Victor Miranda and Sean Campbell, who were up ahead with him, have not stopped yet. And with them being in each other's draft, it might just be able to save a bit of the time here from not running in the air to just eke out an advantage by the time they come to the pits. It's about 17-18 seconds now between Campbell and Miranda to Resende and Toth. This is really not with. He has to get rid of quickly in order to stand up any chance of winning this first heat, Kevin.
Yeah, right now too, we see there's about a 17-second gap between 2nd and 3rd place, but that is because Victor Miranda and Sean Campbell, those guys have still yet to take the mandatory pit stop. So we're currently on lap number 11 out of 14 out here for heat number 1. So these guys, it's slowly closing in. You know they're going to be trying to get as far away as possible just to make sure. But with 17-second gap, we should see, you know, it should be interesting if that will give room for David Toth to get that over, under, or maybe, you know, hitting early may have been the strategy here today in heat number 1. So once again, David Toth he definitely has enough in him to get onto podium and also get that win for heat number 1. But Jackson Asenje is doing his best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yep, and Resende though still has not made it stop just yet, so that's crucial. If Resende keeps holding on to this position and defense from top while bringing in Ariel and Pinto, it might just give an opportunity for Campbell and Miranda to make the pit stop and still be ahead, as now we see Resende being overtaken by Top. That's the crucial move that he needed to do, and he has done so, but Resende is going to fight back.
Right now, this would possibly be an opportune time for Jackson Asenje to take his pit stop, so we will see whether or not he does that. But David Toth now getting a little bit of breathing room, knowing that he will have plenty of time. He just has to make up his time over these next couple laps, make sure that Sean Campbell or Victor Miranda don't get him once they come out of the pit. So David Toth took his pit stop around lap 9, and that is definitely paying off as he finally got past Jackson Asenje. Jackson Asenje, like you mentioned, he is still yet to pit, so he is in between a couple of drivers, between David Toth and Gustavo Ariel. Jackson Asenje, the only one of them not to pit yet. So Gustavo Ariel, that we see right now, we're on the side of his car, has taken his pit stop. So he pitted back around lap number 5 and has been slowly catching up to the rest of the pack. So the Team Redline driver, will see if he has enough in him these last couple laps to get back up and fight with David Toth. I expect that to be a battle we're going to see here very, very soon.
Yeah, but the thing is, Resende being the cork and ball in this one, it may just deprive us of that particular battle between Top, Ariel, and Pinto. Oh, I spoke too soon there. Resende goes off.
And just like that, like we said, one little mistake and you're into the wall. So Jackson Asenje putting on a great performance, making the littlest of mistakes, and that ends up putting himself into the wall. So now leaving room for Gustavo Ariel to go up another position into 4th place, as well as we have Diogo Pinto in 5th behind him. So a lot of these fast drivers now starting to catch up to the front of the pack. Still a 17.5 second gap between 2nd and 3rd place.
And you can see that Resende then is trying to recover from that mistake. He is lurching right now. Oh, he's coming through Forest Elbow, locks up big time, nearly clouds the barrier at Forest Elbow, which allows Valero to come through. His incident really has snowballed into something else here. He's gonna have to pit soon to repair the damage, otherwise he will continue to suffer here for the rest of the race, as now the top 2 pit here now, Kevin.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. So Victor Miranda, Sean Campbell, been leading it for quite a while. Sean Campbell setting the fastest in qualifying, currently in 1st place. But like we said, Victor Miranda, he's going to have to battle out who's going to make it out first. So it looks like Sean Campbell will retain his lead, at least in the pits. But David Toth is coming in hot, and David Toth passes them while they are in the pits. So Sean Campbell, David Toth, I think it's going to come down to here. We are on lap 13 of 14, and now the battle is heating up. Sean Campbell in first, David Toth side by side. These guys going up the mountain straight, so starting to climb the mountain. We're going to see if they go too wide into this. This is a very, very dangerous place to go too wide.
Yeah, we saw a couple of times that drivers trying to actually go through there. It didn't turn out well. It turned out well this time for Toth. He's in the lead again. Campbell manages to hang on to it for a while, but Toth powers his way through to the front. That will also allow Gustavo Ariel to get back up, and Miranda too. So the top 4 from what we saw just now, which includes Ariel too, are back together again, but the orders are completely reversed.
So it may be winter out in Australia right now, but things are definitely heating up. As we can see, David Toth, Sean Campbell, this is definitely going to be coming down to the line. Like we said, we still got about a lap and a half left as we are on the skyline, descending into the most dangerous part of the mountain. So right now, these drivers have to be absolutely perfect if they want a shot at the win here in heat number 1. So David Toth, Sean Campbell, Gustavo Ariel. So we'll have to see as this 3-way battle for the lead pursues over the next lap and a half as we come right now outside of Forest Elbow onto the Conrad Straight. Who's going to have enough of a draft and who is going to be blocking? We'll see if Gustavo Ariel is going to have to sit back right now and let the top 2 hopefully make a mistake.
Yep, Toth and Campbell go side by side here. Campbell goes through on the inside, which now becomes the outside. Will he be able to make it? No. Toth breaks even later, and that is a good defensive job there by the Hungarian, but he's got immediate troubles again with Campbell and Ariel ready to actually pounce right behind him, coming out to Murray's. Will he be able to defend it again? Yes, he does.
And looking there too now, shaking things up, getting involved in this is also Victor Miranda, who, just as a reminder, he is still yet to do his mandatory pit stop. So Victor Miranda, we'll have to see. I'm not sure if he may get a penalty. We'll have to see exactly what goes on there. But missing that mandatory pit stop and trying to go for the lead. So we'll have to see, like I said, exactly. But right now, it is all the battle between Sean Campbell and David Toth as we head back up the mountain, through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide. So we have three-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. So Gustavo Ariel making an amazing move over David Toth. Sean Campbell going back down to third. The battle ensues up the mountain. These guys going absolutely crazy. 3 wide, 2 wide. How are they still keeping these cars under control?
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shots of the entire season. 3 wide coming up, 2 Griffins. You cannot get any better than that, isn't it? This is an amazing race, and it's still not over yet. We're on the final lap here. Tough, holding on for dear life against Campbell, the fastest driver in the entire field right now, and Ariel as well, with 2 World Championship rated drivers right behind. This will be one of the best races of the entire season for Tough, and indeed best race of the entire season, period, if we could keep it like this.
But like we said, folks, we are on the final lap of heat number 1, going down the mountain right now as we come out of Forest Salvo onto the Conrad Straight. So this is going to be where they're going to have to send it. So it is make or break for these drivers right now, as we see Gustavo Ariel, Sean Campbell look like they are the ones to battle it out, as David Toth trying to take advantage of it, trying to gain any position, as we've seen all heat long. David Toth, this is definitely where he shines on this part of the track. So we'll see Gustavo Ariel, though, looking to make that move, gets the inside line over Sean Campbell. But as we go in the turn back, it's back and forth, door to door. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have the lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. We'll see David Toth right now going into the pit lane. So Gustavo Ariel, Victor Miranda. So we'll have to see the official results coming very, very soon. But like we said, crazy final lap going on right here, folks.
Oh, that is absolutely crazy, because our race winner actually went through to the pit lane and now stops it in his box, because officially, according to our timing screen, he's done his second pit stop. I'm not sure what happened there. That is one of the wackiest finishes ever, and it doesn't stop there because Cool Harvey spins it right at the line.
And I was waiting for Kulabi to do the old spin out in reverse and finish the race going in reverse. But yeah, that was an absolutely crazy fit. Like you said, what happened there? David Toth going into the pits, getting the checkered flag. I mean, right now, it still shows David Toth as the current race winner, as well as Gustavo Ariel second. Victor Miranda did not take his official pit stop according to our timing screen. Sean Campbell going down to fourth. So like we said, crazy battle for first place now, with an even crazier ending. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on there, which drivers actually counted their pit stops, which ones did not, and see how that changes up the final results. So right here, so yeah, I mean, technically, yes, you can finish the race in the pit stop. You do cross the finish line. So, you know, that is an official win so far for David Toth. Like we said, the only things we'll have to see right now is Victor Miranda. We don't see his pit stop counting as official currently on the timing screen. So will that leave Sean Campbell with that third place position? We'll have to just wait and see for the official results.
Yep, and here are the results right now. Provisional, of course, because we still wait for the stewarding and all that. I think for Miranda, his stop didn't count because he actually just drove through. He didn't actually stop in the box properly. That might be my theory right now. We'll probably need to ask the drivers themselves what they thought of it. But regardless of that, Toth actually is still counted as a winner despite crossing the pit lane line and the start-finish line on the final lap. So amazingly, he did that while still maintaining the lead in front of Ariel, Miranda, and Campbell. What an amazing finish.
So an absolutely crazy finish to a crazy race. But like we said, your BenQ session winner, David Toth, the Drago Racing driver, putting on an amazing show. We'll see what he can do for heat number 2, but don't count down and out. We also seen the likes of Gustavo Ariel, Victor Miranda, Sean Campbell, all being involved in that battle all day long, as well as a couple unfortunate incidences from the likes of Gael Valero, Peter Zuba. So some of these guys out here having an amazing race, some of them having the slightest mistake that has put them into the wall, put them into another driver, or just thrown them into the grass. So heat number 1 is finished, and now we are griding up for heat number 2. So we'll see these drivers have to make their way to the back of the pack as we are going green now. Diogo Pinto currently leading the race.
Yeah, Pinto, we saw just now, waited for Saavedra to come by and just take P14 away for him to start and to finish in P15 but start on pole. That was very cheeky from Pinto, because I thought for a second that he might actually have stopped the car because he was probably giving up the race, but very cheeky tactics allows him to actually start on pole, got the whole shot in front of Saavedra and Simon, and is leading the way right now coming up from Griffin's Bend.
Right now too, like we see Diogo Pinto. So we have a lot of the teams out here today. So like I said, if you did not have a great race, or some of these drivers that made a mistake or got sent into the wall out here on the mountain, now have their chance to redeem themselves. Especially seeing Mark Saavedra out here too. We know that he has pace. We've seen it. He's a great driver. He's been doing great on this track. But like we've seen earlier on, that incident that he had just put him all the way back. So we'll see if he's able to redeem himself and get on the podium as we continue lap number 1. The train has started down the mountain. Hopefully this mountain doesn't take out too many drivers today. And as soon as I said that, it looks like we got smoke in the back. That may have been Reutmann, who looking like he's still in the back. So not a total crash, but we'll have to see exactly what happened there.
I think he might have clipped the wall on the second part of the S's as we went into close to Forrest's elbow. He thought at a dipper he might have actually cleared that for a bit, but then locked up into the barrier on the other side. So nothing too big in terms of drama, but he got away with that one.
And we can see as it seems a little calm right now, but like we said, once these drivers start finding their pace as we go in from lap number 1, as we're finishing it out, who is going to pit and who is going to stay out on track. It looks like your leaders right now, Diogo Pinto, that might be the strategy here in heat number 2 to get as far ahead as you can, as we see some of his teammates going right there. So we have Gustavo Ariel, looks like some of these guys going to the pit. So almost half of the guys right away pitting on lap number 1. Will that strategy pay off? We will just have to wait and see.
Yeah, again, the undercut actually is the way to go for some drivers. But based on what we saw in that first heat, where Toff was actually pitting much later, and the tire wear is not that bad, it looks as though the overcut may just be the way to go. But some drivers, because they pitted early, doing the undercut so that they can clear the traffic.
And so now we see as we're heading back up on the mountain, we are on board with Thomas Simon. So right here, looks like the Veloce driver. So I'll have to get another good look at his livery. I love seeing all these drivers' liveries. Like I said, it's so great when we have all the different teams out here represented, a slew of different vehicles. So right now, Simon sitting in third. Ooh, it looks like he just barely tapped the wall going up there. So like I said, these drivers, you carry a lot of speed once you start getting up to the skyline. And you can see that as they're climbing the mountain, just barely tapping the wall. But unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, that didn't really affect him too much. As we see right now, 4th place, Simon De Mori. So Simon De Mori not having the best race in heat number 1, but now is looking great so far out here as we come outside of the Forest Elbow, getting back onto the Conrad Straight. Will Simon De Mori get onto the podium of this race? We'll have to wait and see.
Yep, we'll shall wait and see what De Mori actually can come up with, as he is right up to the tail of another Simon, but completely different nationality, Tamas. As behind that, Sean Campbell actually putting a move on Peter Zuba to go up to P5. That is his way of actually just making up for the field. A couple of drivers had pitted before him, but track position before then is absolutely crucial. And apparently we're being informed right now that you can't actually finish in the pit lane. So what David Toff is doing was literally bypassing the whole final corner and finish 1.5 seconds ahead. That is a very cheeky tactic, and because the line here is actually much closer to the pit entry than it is to the start of the first corner, he might have actually clinched it by virtue of the fact that he was literally snaking his way through and just taking the win away. That is very smart of him to do so, but completely different storyline in Heat 2. he's gone for the pit lane very early.
So there we can see heat number 1 winner David Toth now coming out of the pit lane. So now he knows it's time to settle down, focus in, and start making up those places. But right now, though, we have Diogo Pinto still holding on from the lead since lap number 1. So Diogo Pinto, I love his background in there. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner. Seeing some of the other races, it looks like that is actually his room. That is not not a compound for Team Redline. That's not the thing. That is actually how he has it set up. So like, I give him props. Probably the coolest room that we've seen all season long. So definitely loving the backdrop with the Team Redline logo on there and everything else. So Diogo Pinto holding off Saavedra. We've seen, like we said, Saavedra doing very well in qualifying as well. So 2 top drivers with 2 of the fastest paces. But so far, looks like Sean Campbell is holding on to the fastest lap early on into heat number 2. So Sean Campbell, fastest in qualifying, getting very, very close. Battle all the way to the end in heat number 1. And now showing his pace is not slowing down one bit.
No, sorry. Up in front still. Just about half a second here is Pinto in front of Saavedra, but Saavedra actually closing in that time around because of the slipstream. Now it's increasing because it looks as though Pinto manages to just break that much later and gain more time for reconnaissance. We're looking at Tobias Soriano, another completely different room this time, because we saw his camera the other day in a completely different room, but he's managed to make it through. Or does he? Because Campbell now is going to be fighting back, and there is looks like Peter Zuba's coming through. Campbell goes around the outside. Does he make it stick? No, he doesn't. In fact, Soriano manages to hold on to the position for now, and Zuba might just be feeling a little bit frustrated here that he can go through. As I think I'm mistaken, it was actually Gustavo Ariel in the pit lane, and Campbell's actually further ahead by about 3 seconds. So it's a bit difficult to keep up because a lot of people come into the pit lane. It just chops and changes the time screen a lot.
So that too, seeing Gustavo Ariel taking his pit, that was a very smart move there. As you can see, he had a little bit more pace than Peter Zuba as they were coming in from the end of that lap. He was just right on the bumper, giving him a little bit of a bump. So he knows, all right, he knows he's a little bit faster than Peter Zuba out here right now. So he just says, I need a little bit of breathing room. I might as well take that pit stop, not have to battle it out too early. I will save the battle for when I need it later on. So right now, Toby Soriano, though, starting to pull away from Peter Zuba. As you can see, a lot of these drivers towards the front of the pack are starting to pull away from each other. A little bit more than a second gap between a lot of them. But Diogo Pinto still having to battle it off with Saavedra. So Saavedra having the closest gap between all of the other drivers in the front right now. So we can see they're starting to settle in. Things are calming down just a little bit. But just when you think that things are getting a little bit more and you can relax, that's when you have to really dial it in just that much more. You cannot get too comfortable out on this mountain. Like we said, it will eat you up and spit you out.
Certainly, Gavin, and a momentary lapse in concentration will be enough to just literally end your day there and then. So, again, you can afford to actually just relax a bit, but not so much that you can have something like that. As I said it, Pinto actually goes off, and of all the drivers to make a mistake like that, we didn't expect Diogo Pinto to do it, but he immediately jumps into the pits to reduce that time loss.
And you see from that overhead shot right there just exactly how fast that these guys can go into the pit lane. So, you don't have the yellow cones of where they actually have to hit the pit speed until you're practically inside the pit lane. So this is one of those tracks that leading up into the pits, you can definitely send it, as we've seen right there going on as well from Diogo Pinto. So a lot of the guys, so we'll see, again, the guys that are out here with their teammates today, we'll see what they're going to try to do. You know that they're talking on the comms. I'm wondering if they might also have a spotter from their team out there with them. They're coming off the 6 out of the Glen yesterday, as well as some of these other teams. So it's always great when you come off with the win and come into another race like this. You have that momentum. You have that in the back of your head of like, yes, we did it. It's time to go out there and do it again.
And really, the team spirit for these guys, especially when you do endurance races together, it just builds that camaraderie. Really does help out when you want to do some of these single races where you drive not as a team, you have to drive for yourself. It becomes crucial afterwards that you can actually know you can work together even when you're not in the same car. As we look at Toff, he's actually slotted in No, in fact, it's Campbell is actually starting behind Toff and in front of Ariel, so that's crucial then. Toff actually making the early stop this time, and then he made the undercut work.
So right now we still have several drivers. A lot of the drivers, pretty much your top 7 right now, have yet to pit. So we're in lap 5 out of 14, but we can see the battles going on between a lot of the top drivers here. We have Sean Campbell still doing an amazing job of defending Gustavo Ariel, but we'll see if he can hold that off once we get out of the mountains. We can see now, moving up a few places, we see Gael Valero now also trying to battle off Gaston Kulabi. So 2 amazing battles going on at the same time. We'll see Gael Valero again have the best one going down and then coming back up. So a lot of emotion. I don't want to say didn't have the best of Heat 1, but definitely he's looking for that podium. He's not looking for anything lower. So we see right now Simon Demori, 2nd place. So we have Saavedra making his pit stop right now. So going to drop him back a little bit. So some of the leaders, like we said, right now looking like a lot of the guys up front, still your top 4, top 5, yet to take their pit stop. So we'll have to see again if they're going to wait until the last couple of laps to do so.
Yeah, I'm quite concerned right now about, speaking of pit stops, Victor Miranda's one still has not registered. He was one of the very first to enter. I think he might have actually gotten his arrangement wrong when he came to the pit lane, because it didn't detect him as changing anything like tires or add a liter of fuel. It just detects him as just driving through the pit lane. So that is quite a cause of concern, because physically we saw him in the pit lane when he came through with those other guys, but in the game it doesn't register. Now that is quite puzzling.
Yeah, one thing that we have seen before, of course it was in ECT race, but the same thing can happen in iRacing if you do not get inside your box. So if maybe you drove in a little bit over the box or a little bit under, so you're not quite within the boundaries, that will also not count a pit stop. So we'll have to see if, we did see him, like you said, we seen him go in there for the pit stop, but if something like that happened, we'll just have to check and see why that happened. But for now, we're seeing the battle going on between Sean Campbell and Gustavo Ariel. They've been battling it out the last couple laps. Oh, right there. Oh, no. David Toth as well going onto the grass just a little bit.
Yeah, he misjudged that bit because he tried to think and dink one on the inside of Saavedra, but he left himself open on the inside there. Tried to actually minimize the time lost of scrubbing by going through, but he had to cut the corner. He was miraculously able to just control the car from crashing into the barriers coming through the S's, but that's a wake-up call for him. And now that's Sean Campbell, who he fought with in the first race, right up his rear.
Right now, a lot of these guys that we're seeing battling it out, these guys have pretty much taken their mandatory pit stops, and so that's what you're going to see, probably a lot of them battling it out from the middle of the pack, and I expect them to be battling it for the lead over the next several laps as well. So right here, Sean Campbell still doing an amazing job, but once again, it is David Toth, Sean Campbell. The story that we've seen all of last heat now continues into heat number 2. The rivalry continues as we're going 3 wide once again across the start-finish line, going into turn number 1. So who's going to break? Who's going to get the break on the inside? And oh no, a little bit of contact going on, but right there we do see Jackson Asenje getting caught up in that as well. So looks like that could have been a little bit worse, but hard driving. These guys are laying everything out on the line today. So we see now a beautiful shot from the back of Jackson Asenje's bumper, trying to get a good cut of what's going on with Gustavo Ariel, Sean Campbell, Simon Demori, all those guys now tightening up. The pack is getting a lot tighter. The train is getting closer together.
And speaking of very close there, you can see when Demori was coming out of the pit lane, he was right up the rear bumper of Resende. So Resende, in terms of track position, I'm not sure if that 0 pit stop sign means that he has not then done his pit stop, but that was as close as he could cut it without actually causing too much drama, and he manages to gap himself here. So Mori's right behind. Resende has the opportunity to get away here, as that's the Mori we're on board with, and he's looking behind for Gustavo Ariel. Oh, once again, tough crowd. Ariel, Campbell, Blanard, and Toff. Those fast guys with Victor Miranda added in there for good measure. This is really top of the line sim racing stuff here to get all these fast guys in one race.
And looking out here too, so one driver that we did see retire unfortunately early on, that would be Yashar Nuhi, did not make it on for heat number 2. So Unfortunately, the one driver that has retired, gone out of the race for the rest of the day. But right now, like we said, Gustavo Ariel, Sean Campbell battling it back out and forth. So these two guys probably, like we said, top speed out here, top qualifying times. So we'll see if they can keep this going on. I expect this to go all the way for P1 and P2. As you can see, Gustavo Ariel just being a little bit frustrated there. So hopefully that frustration doesn't get his focus lost a little bit. So we know, though, he is a pro out here. So he's going to let that frustration fuel him and try to get ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, he can vent it a bit because he can just help him just release after that, get back to being focused. But did you see that move from Campbell on David Toff just now, coming up through Forrest's elbow? That was an amazing move. He actually dinked it on the inside. Caught, well, it wasn't Ariel, I think it was Demori. He caught him napping there, and he did the exact same move that Matthew Campbell did to win Bathurst all the way back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, with a brilliant move to get by and up to P9. But he knows the full well that the job's not done yet, despite the namesake that Campbell did that day. Matthew Campbell, this particular Campbell, still has plenty of work to do to win this one.
So we can see right here, Sean Campbell battling it out in heat number 1 now again, battling it out with the same guys. So we'll see, like we said, last heat we had David Toth coming away with the win. So he's looking to make that 2 in a row, but he has the best of the best drivers that he's going to have to make his way through as well. So we can see as we head on down the mountain now, seeing Diogo Pinto trying to catch up to Kulavi and set up that pass for once they get out of the downhill section of this track. So doing a great job of holding it right onto the rear bumper. So that can be very, very dangerous. If the driver in front of you makes a mistake, he can easily take you out. So now we're getting out of Forrest Sowell back onto Conrad Straight. Diogo Pinto looking to overtake, and he does have plenty of draft. So getting right to the very edge. So these guys not wanting to leave any room for each other, but also still a good line being held by Kulavi, slotting right back in. So Diogo Pinto moves up into 4th position.
And that's exactly what he wanted, because he is one of the very first guys who did that pit stop early as well. He is the undercutters, and it's paying off for him, as in front, that's Peter Zuba with a very late entry coming to pit lane. I hope that will not cut the rough the stewards, because sometimes that will also be considered a warning if you cut across the pit line. But I think he should be safe, as he's going to find his box now, and he's still spotting that rather weird camera angle where I think the camera fell behind. Regardless, he's going to be swamped now by the rest of the field, as we see Resende leads Campbell, Ariel, Toff, Blena, Miranda, and Demori across the line.
Well, let's see what these drivers can do right now. Looking, Sean Campbell, Jackson Asenje, Gustavo Ariel. So right here, as we start our way up the mountain, we've seen last heat a 3-way going into this one, so 3 wide. We're not going to see these guys do that just yet. They know, hey, if I want to finish at the top, I still need to finish. I'm not going to risk anything yet. But you can see from Campbell right there on screen, it's been nothing but smiles from this guy all day long. So even though, like you said, it's great battles going on, he did not win the first race heat, but he is still out here having a great time. As well as see Jackson Asenje, who was battling it out pretty good, also doing very well in last heat, now showing his consistency all season long, all race long as well. Here we go, Sean Campbell, Jackson Asenje, then we have Gustavo Ariel, David Toth. So like I said, once again, we'll see with these guys, the ones that have that have taken their pit stop. It's not showing Jackson Asenje currently registered as taking a mandatory pit stop. So the guys up front, once they take that, that's going to leave room for the rest of these guys to get a little bit of breathing room and catch back up to the top spot. So Gustavo Ariel now, like we said, being a little bit frustrated earlier. He knows he's having to battle it out. I'm not sure if he has someone spotting for him, just telling him, all right, you're right behind Jackson Asenje, and it's showing that he hasn't gotten his mandatory pit stop yet. So I'm not sure if that is part of the frustration or not, but nonetheless, he will still have a few laps to make up as much ground as he can.
Yeah, certainly. And he's not that far away from Campbell still. He's about under a second there in Gustavo Ariel. And Blena as well, only about 3 tenths behind. All still not lost. Everything's still to play for. But for guys like Pinto, who is quite in the clear, the immediate rival to these guys that we're looking at right now, Campbell, Ariel, and Toth, it is a bridge too far at this point now. We've only about 5 laps to go here. unless something dramatic happens in front between Soriano and Valero, it will be looking like it's Pinto's race to lose now.
Like you said, so we do have Pinto and Saavedra up in the front. They did take their mandatory pit stops already, but right now it's looking like Gustavo Ariel finally getting past Jackson Sanjay. So you see a little bit of relief right there as he knows, okay, now I can focus. Not going to worry about him too much. I'm just going to run my race and try to catch back up to my teammate and hopefully get another team red line on the podium out there. So Gustavo Ariel, now we know he has the pace. Now it's up to him to keep it clean and get through the mountain to get back up on the podium. But like we said, Sean Campbell is still right ahead of him. So Gustavo Ariel will also have to battle it out with Sean Campbell coming up very, very shortly.
Oh, that's a fight of the Titans, isn't it? Two really fast guys on the iRacing platform and really high I rating, going at it hammer and tongs. This will be a turn up for the books, isn't it, for these guys? If they could be able to keep it clean, fight each other, and see who comes out on top. This is where on board now with Resende, though. Resende under huge pressure from David Toff. Toff really knows how to ring the car around the track here. We saw just now how he won that first heat. The second heat has not been the best of races for him, but regardless, he will be fighting it towards the end.
So first we've seen Gustavo Ariel having to get past Jackson Sanjay, and now it is David Toth that is having to do the same. So like we said, Jackson Sanjay, one of the best defenders out here in AMX, is doing it over and over to the point of getting that. But like we said, the best of the best drivers in the world have been out here. We see now a couple more people. So that is Kulavi heading into the pit lane. So he's getting his mandatory pit stop. We'll see where he comes out, but that's leaving room for some of these guys to make up another position. Right now, Sean Campbell currently in 6th place, but leading the pack of guys that have official pit stops in is still Diogo Pinto, followed by Marcos Saavedra. So we'll have to see. Like you said, we are in lap number 11 of 14 out here in heat number 2.
Yep, and up in front though, Soriano, we haven't seen much of him. He's about 6.4 seconds in front of Valero. Those two guys are the last ones up in front here to make their mandatory pit stops, and it just cycles through. Will give Pinto the lead. But when will they pit? Will they pit towards the end of this race, or they probably try to actually go for the pit lane like what we saw with Toff, but at the expense of not getting their race and pit stop counted? So that will be not the best way to do it. The gap that they're building up right now is still not enough. Pinto will be claiming it either way, but how far behind will they fall off? We'll have to wait and see after this. As on board now with one Blaine Knight behind David Toff, and Toff then, they look really stoic right now, isn't it? Both wearing about the same color shirts, both wearing spectacles here, really going at it as, oh, someone's off into the barriers.
All right, there it looked like just a little bit of a lockup, and now that has bunched up the pack, so that could have been real ugly real quick, like we've seen on the last heat of if one driver just gets into the wall a little bit, he can then get sent into the other one. So now we see that looks like Jackson Ascension, you can see the damage on the side of his vehicle right there. Beautiful camera shot, but unfortunately for him, that puts him back. So great news for some of the other drivers, bad news for Jackson as that leaves now Victor Miranda, Juan Blanat, David Toth, all able to get past. So we're going to see Toth now looking to make up time. He's currently almost 3 seconds behind Gustavo Ariel. He is going to have to push it with everything that he has if he wants to catch back up.
That's what happened to Resende here just now. Yep, he just got it a little bit loose. Tries to brake, but it just couldn't stop in time. Whacks the barriers onto the S's. But did he actually collect, crucially, David Toff, as now we see Resende coming to the pits? No, that was very close. They just scraped each other on the side there. But for Resende, that's not just a normal pit stop. That's going to be a lengthy repair. His rear suspension is completely out of whack.
We'll have to see what Jackson does now that he goes into the pit stop. We'll see. He knows now he's way back on the grid. So is he going to just try to get back out there, try to get ahead of Reutemann and try to catch up to Kulavi? We'll just have to wait and see. So right now, the battle in the middle of the pack will be leading up to the battle towards the front very soon. Lap 12 of 14 right now. We're seeing David Toth trying to hold off Victor Miranda as they start going up the mountain. So right here as well in the back, we see Blanat, also Kulavi, Senjay towards the back of the pack. So We're gonna have to see. The leaders already have quite a bit of a gap in between them, so it's not quite as close as it was the final laps of last race. But again, anything can happen, especially out here on such a grueling mountain. Last time we were out on one of the most grueling tracks in the world of the Nordschleife. Today we are on possibly the next grueling track of the season as well. So let's see if that goes in. But right now we have Toby Soriano and Gael Valero leading the race. Both of them, it looks like, have not taken their mandatory pit stops, so they're going to have to take it here very, very soon.
Yep, and the gap that they have to the next guy who has made his pit stop is pretty minuscule in the grand scheme of things. So that allows Pinto to come through. Valero and Soriano will now have to hope that the pit stop they make will be enough to get them back up, at least in that top 10 contention. As here comes Soriano into the pits. Valero, though, doesn't. He's going up for yet another lap here.
So right now, Gael Valero, let's see, he doesn't have too much of a lead currently over Diogo Pinto. So it's looking like Diogo Pinto doing excellent with his strategy. Excellent race out here. Heat number one, he made sure, all right, I'm going to just drop back just a little bit. I'm already towards the back of the pack. I'm going to get in that 15th position to try and get pole. And it has been Diogo Pinto running his own race the entire heat number two. So we'll see as he's catching up to Gael Valero. Like we said, Gael Valero still yet to pit. There's a 5-second gap that's gone between Diogo Pinto and Marcos Saavedra. So it was very close earlier on in the race between those two, but now Saavedra's starting to fall back. Like we said, with only a couple of laps to go, some of these drivers of the likes of Saavedra and Campbell will have to push it with everything to get up to the podium.
Indeed, and for Pinto, then he can just take it easy, though. He literally has nobody behind for miles in relative terms to the likes of his next big challenger, which is Sean Campbell and Gustavo Ariel. He doesn't even need to overtake Valero up in front right now. Just lets the Frenchman do his own thing, come to the pit stop. This is, of course, the ultimate last lap to make that pit stop. If he were to try and do it when the race is over, that's it. It might not even count towards his actual result. So if Valero wants to pull the trigger, he has to do it now.
So looking at him too, we see Diogo Pinto, well now, being this close to Gael Valero, let's see if he has enough to be in the draft, which would even put him that much further into first place over Saavedra as soon as Gael Valero ends up going into the pits. So he's looking right now very calm, cool, and collected. He knows he's cruising. He knows, and I have just one more lap. Gonna keep this thing in the bag. Get another team red line win out here in AMX. So Diogo Pinto showing why he is one of the best in the world and one of the best in AMX. So here we go. Gael Valero taking his pit stop, leaving room for Diogo Pinto to go in. The white flag is flying. Diogo Pinto leading the race. All he has to do is keep it clean, and he will be your winner.
What a turn out for the books that was, because in qualifying we saw just now how it really didn't work out for him, wasn't it? Because it was Sean Campbell that upstaged him by about only a tenth of a second to snatch pole. In the first heat race, he was crawling his way back to the front, but it looks as though this, in fact, no, he didn't crawl his way to the front. He actually just managed to get pole position for heat number two, held it there. Smart strategy for him to do that, and just been running away at the front since, with the driver giving him way from that point on. It's a very canny race from the PSC champion of 2022.
So now in heat number two, like someone in chat just said, it has definitely been the strategies paying out for some of these drivers, more specifically Diogo Pinto, his strategy working out beautifully out here in heat number two. So right now, what was the change from heat number one, where the battles were just driving it out with each other? Oh, we see a little bit of a mistake right there back. Looked like that might have been Simone. So right now we have a battle trying to go for third position. Sean Campbell is holding on to that third place position currently, but Gustavo Ariel is hungry to get onto the podium. You can see the absolute focus in his face as he's driving up. So right now, Sean Campbell doing great on the last one. He's looking to get a podium here in the second heat as they're going down the mountain. Can they keep it clean? It looks like they will so far. So coming out of here onto Forest Elbow now, Conrad Straight. This is where it's going to be if these guys want to get on the podium here into the last couple of last turns.
Yeah, Benny, we're on board now with Tobias Soriano fighting with the VR shot Thomas Limon. onto Conrad Trey into the chase. That is going to be really, really close coming through the chase here. Who's going to break it in time? And Soriano couldn't make it there. Tama Simon holds on to that one, but up in front, Diogo Pinto takes an amazing win after what was a very canny race.
So there you go, your heat number 2 winner, Diogo Pinto, putting Team Redline back into first place, as well as Marcus Saavedra doing an amazing job out here as well with the second place, and Sean Campbell holding onto that podium position into third place. And you can see from heat number 1, a lot of these drivers kind of see what Toth did last race, going into the pits to finish the race. So already 2 great races out here, AMX 20. This is why we do what we do. The celebratory burnout from Diogo Pinto right there. And we'll have to see what these drivers have coming up. You know, get a couple of interviews going on with some of these guys. Definitely, I'd say heat number 1 was a battle of attrition, whereas heat number 2 was a battle of the minds, getting that great pit strategy, which led Diogo Pinto to his victory.
Oh yes, certainly. But his race was not only made in this particular heat, but it was made after he actually just waited for one guy to take away that position for him to start in P15, and crucially on pole for the next one. So it actually just snowballed from that one. It really helped him out big time.
So here we go, like you see with everyone, the beautiful overshot of Mount Panorama. Your Band Q session winner, Diogo Pinto. So Diogo Pinto also setting down the fastest lap time, and he walked away with ease those last few laps. Like we said, strategy paying big for him, quite literally too, as the AMX 20 have a bigger prize pool, $1,000 prize pool for these drivers out here today. Marco Saavedra coming in second, Sean Campbell getting that podium position, getting third place. Also had a great heat number 1. Gustavo Ario just outside of the podium, but luckily for him, he still has his teammate of Diogo still getting on the podium for his team. So a lot of these guys we've seen going down the roster as well. A couple of them, everyone is still kept it very clean. So I think heat number 2, these drivers may have kept it just a little bit more safe.
Yep, indeed. And what a way to finish it, wasn't it? We saw best of the best drivers in the Porsche Cup cars going through, and really good ones came to the fore. But make no mistake, everyone drove a brilliant race. Despite the crashes in between, we had what we came for. Some of the best drivers on the service, giving us a real good run here at Mount Panorama.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, especially in that heat 1 towards the end, that is the first time I think I've seen 3 drivers going 3 wide up the mountain and be able to come out of that alive. No one ending up into the wall. So that just in itself goes as a testament of how absolutely amazing these drivers are. So I'd say already the second AMX 20 race of the season, and things are definitely heating up. I can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds for us. But like I said, a lot of these drivers, they were here last time, they were here now, and we'll see by the end of the season who is going to walk away your AMX 20 season champion. It could be anyone's game at this point, but you know, there are a few people definitely that we've seen leading it so far, staying at the front of the pack and putting down blistering fast qualifying times. So we're going to head into the interview room here very shortly. Let's see what these drivers have to say. Like we said, one of the best races, probably if not the best race of AMX so far in season 5.
Oh, all right. So here we are then for the interview with Sean Campbell, the fastest qualifier and proving to be one of the best drivers in the race as well with his racecraft. So Sean, congratulations on the qualifying. That was an amazing lap because we were in disbelief that you did 205.9. Take us through how it feels like to be right on the edge there, especially at a circuit like Mount Panorama.
Well, I'm kind of out of breath almost because it was awesome. Everything was awesome. That was the most fun I think I've ever had in this car, and I guess it proves that the update worked. But yeah, on qualifying, I guess, or on the limit on this track, you don't really think about the walls that much because you don't plan on hitting them, I guess. But yeah, the more safe you try to be, the slower you end up going, and the more dangerous you end up making it for yourself. Sometimes with some cars, but yeah, being able to get into that almost flow-like state where you can get inches from the wall every single corner, every single lap is awesome. And I was kind of surprised. I was kind of scared going into this. So I was surprised, very happy to be on pace like that.
Indeed, and it kind of showed in as well during the races as well, especially when there was close combat. But take us through how it felt like to be fighting like three-way coming into that final lap, because it looked as though it could have gone either way, but you managed to make it through it anyhow.
Yeah, I had to get Gustavo back for Watkins mine where he got me. I couldn't get to him. I spot in the rain. I was trying to pass him or get to him, but I'm just trying to think because I'm tired.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah, it was really good. It was super good. I have really high hopes for this car and like Paskin because the old car, I was not a huge fan. I don't know if many people were huge fan of how it raced, but this seems like it's really good to race. I was not expecting it to go 3 wide both times. I was kind of like, please don't do it, and then he did it. But it worked out in both, so no harm, no foul. Bold move. The final corner on the first race, I just turned it with the times, but it was close. It was good racing. I was glad to finally have a clean race. It was like no contact type race.
Indeed. And of course, you had the podium as well in that second one, which definitely will make you one of the highest scoring guys on this one. But congratulations again for being fastest qualifier, a top 5 in the first heat, and a podium in the second heat there. So looking forward to see you in future races.
Hopefully too, yeah.
So that we'll be looking forward to getting from one ace driver to another here in the interview room, because we had Sean Camp, as you saw just now. He was really psyched. Looked as though that there was some butterflies in his stomach, but regardless, he managed to get it through in there. Now we get to see one of the top line drivers in iRacing as well, Diogo Pinto, a Porsche Esports Cup champion here from 2022 with us. So let's get him on board here. Diogo, parabéns. Congratulations on the race here today, especially given the fact that second one really was paying off after what we can say was a bit of a disastrous first race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not too good. The start of the first one was quite bad with my clutch, and then locked up into turn 1. I managed to recover a little bit, but then I got involved in an incident, so I got collected on the top of the mountain. So around here, that's unavoidable when someone crashes in front of you. And then, I just crawled back to the line. I had wheel damage, suspension was done. And I had to pull for the second race, and from there onwards was just trying to enjoy the track, learn the car a bit, and it was nice.
Indeed, and talk us through that one. How does it feel like to drive these kind of Porsche Cup cars? Because we know that you've been here and there before with the Porsche Cup cars. But is it really difficult? The difficulty gets amplified when you come to a circuit like Mount Panorama.
Yeah, it was actually the first time driving the new update on the Porsche Cup, so I was just learning as the laps went. And it's a completely different car to, for example, the previous updates. So it was quite tricky, especially the braking. I was locking up a lot, so it took quite a lot of laps to get used to. But I think on the second race I was fully up to speed, or at least within the circumstances. And it's very tricky because we don't have ABS and we have hard braking zones, elevation changes. and braking over the curbs and bumps is very tricky on this car because you lock up very easily. So you just have to manage it, stay away from the walls, which I hit quite a few of them, but other than that, it was quite alright.
Indeed, and incidents as well, especially I think you might have been collected by, not sure if it was Peter Zuba or it was another driver at that front. Talking about the damage, even with the slight dents on the car, how much of a difference does it make into the performance?
Yeah, I got right away the notification that I had wheel damage, and so I just crawled back to the line because the car is undrivable then, especially around here. So the wheel was bent, the right rear was destroyed. So because it was quite a big hit, like 200 kph, I got slammed into my right rear. So I just stayed on track and finished the race then.
Indeed, and that's how it kind of made your second heat, wasn't it? Because you kind of stopped at the final corner to just come by, start on pole, and it was important, wasn't it? Because, in your opinion, was overtaking quite difficult here at Mount Panorama because quite a few people made it through the slipstream, but it looks as though you might as well be at the front, weren't you?
Yeah, I was 14th, so I saw the 15th. I might as well let him by to stay safe for the second race and have a clean race because I also wanted to learn the car. As I said, it's a new update, so I wanted to have some clean air to learn the car and see what's the difference compared to the last update. And yeah, it was quite nice, the second race.
Indeed, and again, parabéns, congratulations on the second heat win, and hopefully we can see you in future races.
Yep, thank you. I'll be back. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
We heard from two of the top performers out here today in AMX 20. We look forward to see what the rest of the season has to hold. We definitely know that once these drivers have a little bit of a rivalry going on, that's definitely going to be going through the entire season. So you guys make sure to head over to amxrace.com, see the full schedule. That way you can come and tune in on Twitch and YouTube to come see how the rest of the season battles it out. But definitely heat number 1 and heat number 2, both great racing from the best drivers in the world. So that will be all for us today, folks. We hope to see you again soon, as well as all of the rest of these wonderful drivers out on track. If you want to get in on the action, like we said, head over to amxrace.com and get signed up to come in here, get yourself some of that prize money, and we hope to see you next time. Signing off, I am Kevin here with Amir. We will see you all next week.
I got the D double O style. Double O D double O. I got the D double O.